Hello, Crystal, if you're still there. Thank you for coming. Let me get my hat on so my bald head doesn't blind anybody. It's Saturday, just now turning 7 o'clock. So I'm glad to see you're here. Hopefully, some others will come. Anybody that wants to come up, as you know, Crystal, and a lot of other people know, they're more than welcome. That's why the thing's up there at the top. And I don't know about this thing. It keeps changing things on me. Don't like that. And switched it from all to so. Like I said, come on up if you want. Uh, Always happy to have a visitor. It was a kind of an unusual week. It started off, it was warm, then it got cold, then it snowed, and then it snowed last night and early this morning, and then it warmed up enough that the snow's gone, at least off the cars and the roads. It was -2 Celsius, which is about 28 Fahrenheit. It's not sure what it is right now. Let me take a quick look. Right now, it says it's -4 Celsius, which would be about 25 uh, degrees Fahrenheit. So it's actually getting colder. I thought it was when I went out earlier. Uh, I wasn't going to go out today, but I ended up going out, bought myself a salad, um, strictly because, well, I didn't feel like cooking. And I felt like having a little something besides, besides pasta and stuff. So I got a chicken tossed salad, and I have an onion vinaigrette salad dressing, which I used. It was very good. I really enjoyed the meal. I don't normally eat a salad too often, but it's I probably should eat them more often because they're healthier for me. But anyway, that's what I had for supper tonight, and I'm waiting to see. Hoping some more people show up, but if they don't, well, it is what it is. I mean, there's nothing I can do. I can't go out there and force people to come in and show up. And I've gotten some comments. Some thumbs up, but right now it's just Crystal and myself. I'm hoping other people come up. I mean, I got my ninja up too. I mean, I'll tell Crystal hello this way as well. Yeah, I got my ninja channel up. There I am looking like Santa Claus with that big old beard. If I grow a beard now, it's not going to be anywhere near that thick. If I grow a beard, I'd keep it about like this, keep it trimmed down. Although right now, just the chin whiskers is enough. Uh, but if I grew a big, thick beard like that one, it would at least hide the my turkey neck. And we call that a turkey neck, but Crystal, in case you don't know what a turkey is, it's a type of bird, and they have a low hanging neck like that. So it's called a turkey neck, and it's that. It's just the term it uses. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man? Welcome. now, Michael, I'm a good boss. I'd have gave you a warning. I give you a warning first, Uh, uh, but yeah, matter of fact, I had to do that with one of my bosses. I guess one of my guards. He's not my employee. I just happen to be the boss. Uh, I guess he was having trouble staying awake, and that didn't look good on camera. So I had to talk with him. He's been doing better since then. Because I let him know that there's a guard there that's out to get him. It's one of the guards that would be watching the cameras. And for some reason, this kid just does not like the guy. I really don't know why. And but I mean, I don't like the kid, so I mean, it doesn't really matter. But I just think he's kind of cocky and arrogant. But maybe he doesn't like him because he's old, which means he wouldn't like me because I'm old. I mean, that's just the way it is. Some people don't like older people. But I had to talk with the kid. He's a kid to me. He's about my youngest sister's age, which means he's about 8 or 9 years younger than me. And so anyway, I had to talk with him. He's been doing much better. I told him, I said, look, you know, you got to get up, move around. You got to bring in coffee. You got to uh, do something to keep yourself awake. You know, so he's been doing better. And the guy's got health problems. I'll give him that. He does. He has health problems, and so he'd been in the hospital a couple times. So, like I said, that's why I want to give him as much slack as I can. Hey. I resent that. I'm older than the dinosaurs. I was here before the dinosaurs. uh, yeah, like I said, I mean, it just like I said, some people don't like older people because maybe they think we got the jobs that they want. Because, like I said, I happen to be the supervisor, and this kid's just a guard. So, hey, Tim, welcome. So he might be resentful of me. Now, the other guy, I don't know why he'd be resentful of him. Just maybe they clashed. The guy used to work inside too. And so they might have just had personalities that clash, and that happens. I mean, sometimes you meet somebody and it's instant like, and other times you meet somebody, it's like, I just don't care for this guy. I don't need to be showing you my bad people. Let's be honest about that. You don't really want to see my bed. Yes, I am in my bedroom. I think everybody knows that's where I keep my computer. If my living room was bigger, I'd have it in my living room. If I didn't have my TV, I'd have it in my living room. Because I had it in my living room for a long time, and then I started setting other things up. So uh, my living room it's fair size, but it's not that big. I mean, it's not big enough to because my living room also doubles as my dining room. If I wanted to take my dining room table out, I'd have plenty of room to put my computer in there. But I like having my table, my dining room table, even though I don't sit at it very often. And yeah, Mike, that was my younger brother. Like I said, I'm older than the dinosaurs, man. Tim the Tool Man, yeah, that was a good. I like that show. I don't know about you, Mike, but I like that show. And but what can I say? It was a good show. I'm glad y'all showed up. Like I said, Tim, if you want to come up, Mike, you want to come up, Crystal can come up. I'm always willing to have a guest come up and talk. If somebody's in the background, and if you want, if you belong to the channel, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if you have to belong to the channel to come up or not. If you don't, try it, come up. And if you can, I'll let you in. If you have to join, then you'll have to join the channel to come up. I didn't set that up. I have StreamYard, so that may be something that they have automatic. I like to talk to other people, and I also like to have other people introduce themselves and talk about their channel if they have a channel. Uh, I was sitting around today, most of the day. I watched a couple shows, TV shows that I liked. They just had their first uh, season opener yesterday, so I watched it today because I watched them a day later. I don't have to watch any commercials. And after that, I've been watching YouTube quite a bit today. That's cool, there, Tim. So you sold Tool. There, see, you and Tim the Tool Man have something in common. You probably enjoyed that show if you ever watched it. Uh, well, Mike, my name's Larry, and I was a drunk. Uh, I rarely drink anymore, so I can't say I was an alcoholic. I know some people are, and nothing. Hey, we all have our weaknesses. Mine's food. How I control what I eat is at the point of purchase, because I know me. If I purchase something, there's a good like ice cream. I'm going to eat about half of it or more the night I buy it, and I'll eat the other half the next day. That's a lot of ice cream, so I don't buy it very often. I love ice cream, and it's the same thing with sweets. I have to be careful when I buy sweets. Well, now, Mike, now you're telling us something. Well, you know, I'm a failed porn star. Nobody would hire me to. Matter of fact, they paid me to put my clothes back on. I wanted to be a stripper, but everybody paid me to leave my clothes on. So now I just go into a strip club and threaten to take my clothes off, and people start throwing money at me if I leave it on. What can I say? But well, I can honestly say I've never sold tools, uh, but I've done a lot of different jobs. I've worked in restaurants. My very first job was at an A&W root beer stand, which we sold food and root beer naturally and ice cream. That's when I was 15. That was my first real job. My second job was working at a Bonanza, which is a steakhouse that was a cafeteria style. Cafeteria style, for those that don't know, is you go in, you get in line, you make your order, and you go down the line and you pick up your stuff as you go down. If your steak or chicken or seafood, whatever you ordered, isn't ready when you get to that end, you go out to your chair, seat, to your table, and we bring it out to you. Uh, some people may know Ponderosa. Bonanza is the same thing. It just one was the actors were involved in it. Matter of fact, Dirk Blocker was one of them. He was the one that started it. I can't remember if he called it Bonanza or Ponderosa. And then the others, one was run by the producers of the show Bonanza. So that's how that came about. And but like I said, that was back in the '60s. I worked there. I did that until I went to. I like A&W. It's a really good place. The one I used to go to back home, they sold out and they turned it into a different restaurant called Delish, and they had excellent tenderloins. And then it burned down a couple of years ago, and it's an older couple that owned it. They have another one at a different location, and they decided not to rebuild. But I always went back. Whenever I went back home, I during the summer months, I'd always go to the A&W and get at least a root beer float and maybe something else. But I always went back and visited the owners, even though I got fired from that job. I deserved to be fired. I was a, a loudmouth, a young punk, and so they did give me quite a few chances to shut up and keep the job, but I didn't do it. And so and it always surprised the owner, one of the owners, David. It was David and Virginia Wolf that owned the place. Hey, Susanna, how you doing? If you want to come up, just click on the link above and come on up, and you can tell everybody about yourself. And we'll let you. I enjoy having visitors. I really like having a panel. It gives me somebody to talk to. But as I said, though, Dave was always. He told me, he says he was surprised that I always came in to visit after because they fired me. And I told Dave, I said, Dave, you did what you had to do. You kept telling me to shut up, and I wouldn't do it. I said, I deserve to be fired. I don't hold that against you. It was my fault. I mean, I just owned up to it. It was what I did was wrong, and he tried to get me to straighten up, and I didn't do it. So he had to do what he had to do. I couldn't hold that against him. It was me that messed up. And like I said, I after that I went to work a little over a year later at the Bonanza. Now I also worked at the cafeteria in school Because, like I said, my dad went on total disability when I was 12. And so the money was really limited because my mom worked as a factory worker after my dad went on total disability. And she didn't make anywhere near the money that my father made, but she made money. But things were a little tighter because remember, I come from a family of 7 kids. So we got everything we needed. We didn't always get what we wanted. So I worked so I could buy what I wanted and that kind of stuff. Like I said, if I needed something, if I really needed it, my family bought it. But if I wanted something, I bought it. I made the money, and like I wanted cowboy boots, I bought them. I didn't need them. I had shoes. I liked wearing blue jeans. My mom would not buy me blue jeans. She bought me dress pants. So I bought the blue jeans because she wouldn't buy them and stuff like that. I mean, there was, but if I really needed it, she bought me nice clothes, but she would not buy me blue jeans. She just thought that was a waste of money, and she said, if you want that, you buy it. And like I said, I went out and got a job and I bought them. And I worked until I went until the Navy. Well, a couple of months before I went in the Navy, I went ahead and quit working. Took some time off to relax and visit with the family. I had family in Iowa. My cousin George, which is my cousin, that's the same age I am. I talk about him. He's back in Indiana now, but at that time, his family lived in Iowa, right outside of Iowa City. And I would always go. I went up there for almost a month and visited them before I went in the Navy. Uh, so that's the kind of stuff I did. And I was in the Navy for over 6.5 years. Oh man, Tim, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Well, hopefully you can find a place that you like as much as the place you're at. Sorry to hear that you have to move. I understand it causing a lot of stress, but it'd been a whole lot worse if they told you had to move in March or April. Just finding out. Uh, I was renting a place from somebody and got into got into it. A disagreement. We didn't get in a fight. We had a disagreement. Uh, he thought I should support uh, his political beliefs, and I wasn't going to do it. And so I was renting from the guy. Actually, I was renting a room from him. I was trying to save money, and so he gave me 30 days notice that I had to move. Uh, so I did. I actually ended up moving back moved into my oldest sister's place until I could find a place of my own because at the time I was interviewing for just some jobs down here away from where I was living. I didn't get any, so I found a place where I lived for 15 years after that until I decided to move down here. Now I've been in this place. I'm going into my, fourth year? 2001, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, I'm starting my fourth year here. Uh, so I'll be here till I retire, or at least that's my plan. And then, like I said, I would. That's understandable, Tim. My third of the oldest sister, my sister Alta, she lived someplace for 20 years, and I want to say 20 years. And then the landlord decided he wanted to rent that to hey Eileen, how you doing? Wanted to rent that apartment to one of his relatives. So he came up with an excuse to get her out. She's the one that bought the house that my mom and my sister Ruth Ann were living in. Remember, my sister Ruth Ann is the one with MS, multiple sclerosis. Uh, she gets around pretty good for as long as she's had MS. She can still walk. She has to use a cane, but she can still walk. She don't need a wheelchair or anything. And my mom now is in the nursing home. But they lived together for years. She bought the house because, it made it more convenient for my mom and my sister. Because they in the where they were living in a trailer where you had to go up and downstairs to get out, in and out. Uh, there was carpet and linoleum, so we were afraid he would slip. So they have tile and wood flooring now where they live. It's a lot easier and a lot safer for my sister with that. It was a lot safer for my mom until she started having more problems. Hey, Jolene, how you doing? Jolene, hi. Okay, welcome. Uh, we're glad to have you here. Like I said, anybody wants to come up, more than welcome to come up. But so I go home. I usually stay at my sister's out this. Uh, I'll stay in my mom's old bedroom. Before that, they had a couch I could sleep on. When my mom was still there, that's where I would sleep on the couch. And it also depends on if my oldest sister and I both go home at the same time. One of us will get a hotel room, the other one will stay with the family because they don't have room. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to sleep on that couch anymore. It's just not that comfortable. And a lot of times I just get a hotel room, at least for one night, so I can do my live stream on a Saturday. That's what I did the last time. I got one night at a hotel and did my live stream Saturdays, and I'll do the same thing when I go back this summer. I'll at least on a Saturday night I'll have a live stream. I'll be at a hotel room there in Terre Haute. That could be true, Mike, but I find it very hard. Well, no, I don't. There'd be a whole lot of Trump supporters that will donate to that. There's a whole lot of people. I'm not one of them. I'm a conservative, but I'd rather have somebody besides Trump or Biden. Either one. I don't like either one of them. Like I said, I am on the conservative side, but I'm more of a moderate. There are some things I go liberal, and there's some things I go conservative. I go, I'm just not a right winger or left winger. I'm like I said, if they had a moderate party, I'd join it. I'm considered an independent because I'm not registered, and that's the way I want to be. I've been an independent thinker about who I vote for many years, and I'll stay that way. I have voted for Democrats for presidents before, and I vote for Republicans for presidents before. Yeah, Mike, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. You can say what you want about Trump, and believe me, he is an a-hole. All right, you know what I mean. He is an a-hole. I'll give you that. But he is one smart a-hole, and he lets his people dislike Trump. The main reason I think people dislike Trump is because he's an a-hole. I mean, and some of the people love him for the same reason because he just says what he thinks and what he wants. And that's not being very astute study of human nature, if you ask me. He was smart. He'd keep his mouth shut on something. I mean, I understand smarting off once in a while. Somebody like someone called him a Nazi. Someone calls him some things that I don't think he is. Like I can understand smarting back off to them, but he says some of the dumbest things, and he gets himself in trouble. Like I said, Biden, I think, is just too far gone. I'm sorry, I don't believe he's all there mentally. But let's get off the politics. But anyway, so like I said, I started working at a young age, and I've continued working. I've done all kinds of jobs. I've been a barber in the Navy. Ran a gas station in the Navy. I also worked in gas stations as a civilian. I ran a candy store in the Navy. I worked in the Navy Exchange. I filled up the vending machines in the Navy. I ran the storeroom. When I say storeroom, I mean this is where you kept all the supplies for my division: the candy bars, the pop, the cigarettes, the clothing that we would sell inside the Navy on board Navy Exchange. the papers, the lighters, lighter fluid, all that stuff. I kept it in a storeroom. I kept the inventory and the paperwork on it. So if you wanted to order supplies, you'd submit the paperwork. I'd go down, I'd get the paper, I'd go down and get the stuff you wanted, and then take it up and subtract it from my inventory list. And then every so often we'd have an inventory, make sure everything's, there that's supposed to be there. And the same thing when I had the candy store. I mean, I kept an inventory of everything I sold. I kept copies of everything I had brought up, and I'd be inventoried every so often. And I was allowed to be off by, I don't know, 1 or 2%. I was almost never off, and if I was, usually it was in my favor. And one of the times it was in my favor was because they told me the wrong price for something. And so I was selling it at something that it shouldn't have been priced at that high. It was overpriced, but that was because of them. And so that put me over. And now all of our profit from the candy shop, the candy man, I don't know about the candy shop, but all the profit from my candy shop or my candy store went to the ship to help pay for parties for everybody on the ship. Now, that was the same thing with the profit from the Navy Exchange on ship. The profit didn't go to us; it went to the ship, and it paid for. They'd have parties every so often where everybody was invited. They'd pay for the food and all this stuff, and these would be parties off the ship usually. And like every year, we had an anniversary party for the ship, and it would be a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday, and everybody would be able to attend at least one day if they so choose. And if you happen to have the whole weekend off, you can go both days. But they'd have hamburgers and hot dogs and pork chops and chicken and and all kinds of side dishes and there'd be alcohol, so you could drink alcohol if you wanted. You could bring your girlfriend, your wife, your kids. It was an all hands party. Anybody and everybody on ship could go, and they could take somebody with them or their whole family. And like I said, the profit we made in the store I worked at and the Navy Exchange on board ship, that profit paid for. And if whatever was left over was divided among the divisions to help pay for whatever parties they wanted. And that was what we did every year. Now on shore duty, well, only if you were brave or stupid, Mike, could you take your wife and your girlfriend. Unless they got along real well. Yeah, and like I said, on shore duty, I helped work in the Navy Exchange on base. I run the barber shop on base. I filled the vending machines on base. I filled all and the vending machines included beer and candy and pop machines. And I ran the gas station on base. Now, I did all 4 jobs every day. I also had the storeroom for my supplies, the candy and the pop. I had those supplies, which I had to keep track of those too. Hey, Ian, how you doing? Welcome. But so, like I said, I always it was on shore duty. It was kind of fun because before you could get bored with a job, you went to the next one. I kind of enjoyed that. I did that for almost 2 years on shore duty. Not quite 2 years. I got there in June of '77, and I got out. Well, a little, not quite a year and a half. I got there in June of '77, and I got out of the Navy in October of '78. So about 15 months I was there. It was all right, Mike. I don't know how long I'll be here. It depends. I do like talking, but I enjoy it more when I have somebody else to talk with. So you tell your wife hi, because I'm sure that's where you're going to go and talk with your wife. So I'm not sure how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to try to pronounce it. So enjoy yourself. Tell her hi from the chat. And if I'm still here, hope to see you back later. And so, yeah, so like I said, it was a very, my time in the Navy, I really enjoyed. I mean, I got to go to the Philippines. I got to go to Taiwan. I got to go to Hong Kong, Japan, uh, Okinawa, which is also part of Japan, but it's a separate island. I went to Yokosuka, Japan, and then I went to Okinawa. I can't remember the name of the base there. Uh, been to Hawaii because of the Navy. I was in Vancouver, Canada, because of while I was in the Navy. Because I was in Washington State a couple different times. I was up there in what year was that? 76. I was up in a place they called Bremerton, Washington. That's where they take the certain ships. They go up there for dry dock. And I got transferred to the Long Beach, and she was in dry dock in Bremerton, Washington. So I went up there for that. I was there for a few months, and that's when I went up to Vancouver because I figured I'll never be closer than that and to Canada. So I might as well go. And me and three other guys out of my division, we Burton. I can't remember the other two guys' name, but we went up, and a couple of guys just went up, came back the same day, and me and another guy, I want to say Burton, we spent the night and spent the weekend up there, and it was a blast. Now I've been to, like I said, Vancouver, Canada. I've been to Toronto, Canada. I've been to Montreal, Canada now, but Toronto and Montreal is because I moved out to New York State and I visit those places on my own. And so I've been to China, but that's after I got out of the Navy. That was back in '99. I went there on vacation for 3 weeks, had a blast. A friend of mine, I've told you before, one of my best friends is from China, and her, myself, and then three other friends, we all went. Now they only went for a week, but my friend and myself, we went for 3 weeks, and it was fun. I got to see the Forbidden City. I got to see the Great Wall, the tombs of the emperors. A lot of the emperors have a place where you can go see the tombs, and I enjoyed that trip. One of my ex-girlfriends I met on that trip. We dated for a while. We won't go into how everything, but it didn't work out, and partly my fault, partly hers. Uh, I'm gonna have to put most of the blame on me. Uh, but I was in a going through some things at that time, which made me a little more irritable, probably a little harder to get along with. It was nothing that she did; it was what I was going through uh, emotionally and physically. I was going through some stuff, and so that did play into it. And so, as much as I hate to say that, but yeah. Uh, and I probably should have tried to put that relationship on hold, and because we moved forward, and I probably should have tried to put it on hold for a while until I dealt with all that, and was able to get through it. But I did. So that's what happened. That was an age gap, but that was like an age gap of only 9 years. My biggest age gap, I dated a woman who was 11 years older, and a woman who was about 11 years younger. So those are my big age gaps. Uh, I'm not against an age gap. I'm not even against an age gap that would be bigger than 11 years. Uh, but that would depend upon the woman and myself. How compatible are we? Uh, what things do we want that are in common? So like I said, all that comes into play, and as most of you know, if not all of you, I think all of you know this. I want to work another 3 years, counting this year. I should be out of debt this year, and then I want to work 2 years just to save money as much as I can. So when I do finally retire, I can move to the Philippines. Right now, the plan is to go to Cebu first. That can change, but right now that's the plan. And see how I like it. If I don't like it, the plan is to go somewhere else and see what I like. Uh, I mean, the places could be Iloilo, Dumaguete, uh, Cavite area up in Luzon. There's a couple other places I would look at. Uh, but I also want to make sure I have enough money that if I decide I can't make it there for whatever reason, health wise, uh, it's just too different for me. Uh, because of my age, I may not be willing to compromise as much as I should. Hopefully, that won't be the problem. But if I have to, I can always. I want enough money to move back to the States. Uh, I'd probably move to Indiana instead of back to New York. I'd be closer to the most of my family, which is that most of my family live in Indiana, and it also is cheaper to live in Indiana than New York. So that would help with the cost of my living. Wouldn't be quite as cheap, as inexpensive as the Philippines, but it'd be a lot more inexpensive compared to New York. I could find a place a lot cheaper than what I'm paying right now in my hometown. Uh, if I paid this kind of money in my hometown, I'd have a little bit nicer place. Uh, but I would, like I said, my goal is if I'm healthy enough to live in the Philippines, get away from the States for a while. Hopefully, stay there till I, you know, move on from this world. But one doesn't know. And so if I had the money, I wouldn't mind living in the States certain amount of like 6.5 months out of the year, and the other time in the Philippines, uh, as long as I'm not dating anyone. If I started dating a woman and we couldn't get her back to the States, then we just live in the Philippines more. But like I said, I wouldn't mind going back and forth a little more often if I can afford it because of family. And that's the only reason. It's the family. My sisters, nieces and nephews, that kind of thing. But, I can't sacrifice my happiness for that. My happiness, I know I'd be happier if I can take the Philippines. I'll be happier in the Philippines. I'll be happier because it would relieve a lot of stress as far as cost. I would be able to live on my Social Security. I don't have a lot in Social Security. I'm sorry, I don't. Uh, there's a lot of people that make a whole lot more money in Social Security than I do, and that's fine. I mean, more God bless them. They did better. My cousin George being one of them. But I got to live on what I have. I can't worry about what somebody else has. And so that's what I look at. And I know I can live in the Philippines on what I have coming in it per month. Now, how well I can live in Cebu, I'd have to find out because Cebu is going to be one of the more expensive places I look at. I don't know if I want to stay in Cebu. I am a city boy at heart. Uh, and when I say city boy, I mean small city. I'm not talking about a city like Manila. No, no, no. I'm talking about a smaller city. Uh, like I said, Iloilo would be big enough for me as far as size goes. Uh, so would Dumaguete. I mean, you got the malls, you got the hotel, you got the uh, movie theaters, you've got decent hospitals, you've got things to do, and that's what I want. You live out in the province. When I say the province, I'm talking about these small little villages where you have to commute in all the time from outside these smaller and go into smaller cities. Well, at my age, I want the hospitals closer to me. If it wasn't for that, Valencia would be in a really nice place. I might not be able to afford to live in Valencia, but I think I could. It depends on what kind of place I find. But you gotta be willing to make compromises and adjust your way of thinking. I hope I'm. How should I say this? I'm hope that I am. I hope that I have that ability. I hope that I can put up with different things and change my thought and be. How should I say this? Be patient. You're going to have more patience in the Philippines on certain things than you do here in the States. Here in the States, when you go somewhere, you want it, you can get it right now. There's places you'll go that you may have to stand in line, and I know a lot of people when they have to stand in line get impatient. I usually have some patience for that, more than a lot of people, but that doesn't mean I'm going to have the kind of patience I need in the Philippines. I hope I do. We'll find that out. I just got to keep reminding myself, hey, where do I have to go? I'm retired. So that's what I got to look at. And like I said, those are all things I'll only know if I can put up with it after I go there. And so, yeah, it's very simple. Tim knows this. You got to have the patience. You've got to have the flexibility to do something different if you need to. And that was the word I was looking for earlier. And I hope I have those things. Because like I said, I know if I go to the Philippines and live there, I know I'll be better off financially than I am here in the States without working. I know I'll enjoy the people. Like I said, I served with many Filipinos, and I met their families, their wives, their kids, their girlfriends, and they were all really good people. Now I know there's just like any other country, not everybody's good, and there's going to be scam artists, there's going to be thieves and all that, but that's anywhere you go. Like I said, but I do know there's a lot of good people in the Philippines because, like I said, I worked with a lot of them. I was in the Navy with them. We slept together, we ate together, we partied together. So I know that from being in that situation. My division was almost 1/3 Filipino, and now on Shodi there were Filipinos there, but there was none of my division for some reason on Shodi. They were in supply, and I knew some of them from serving with them on a ship somewhere else. And there again, I got invited to their house and met the wives and their kids, and I was always welcomed over. Got along quite well with them. These were the dispersing clerks. The dispersing clerks are the ones that handle the pay. They pay you. They take care of the payroll. And so, that's the ones I knew on Shodan, on ship. Like I said, they were in all the different departments. I knew the ones mostly in supply because I was in supply. I was a ship serviceman. So most of the ones I knew were ship servicemen, but there was storekeepers and dispersing clerks, and I knew them as well. But the ones I knew best were the ones I worked with, slept with. We shared what we called a compartment, which is a big open bay area with a lot of beds in there, racks as we call them. We call them racks because they be stacked up, and there could be 3, 4 high. And so I, like I said, we slept in the same compartment. We worked together. We drank together and all partied together, and knew each other quite well. Some I knew better than others. Jimmy Cruz is one I knew pretty well. Bernard, I cannot remember his last name, but I always worked with him quite a bit. We started off in the division about the same. Now he was a real go-getter. He was career oriented, and he went after it and got it. He made E5 very quickly, and I think he uh, made E4 a lot faster, and I think he made E5 before I left the ship, which is a good thing because I got another friend who was in the same rate. He was a Caucasian male. He did 7 years, got out, was out for a while, went back in, and decided to do a career. And while he was in, he only made E4. Now, in the Navy, if you fail the test for advancement, so many times they kick you out. You know, when your time was up, they wouldn't let you re-enlist. The same thing as being kicked out, but they just forced you out. Same thing with officers. They were passed over for promotion so many times. At the end of that enlistment, they were done. Well, Marv was intelligent, but the ship servicing rate was closed up. Now, Marv would take the E5 test, which you had to be an E5 to change job codes. So he'd take the E5 test and pass it. But he'd P&A it, what they call P&A, pass but not advance. As long as you P&A a test, that they don't hold that against you. And so he retired as an E4. That means he did 20 years, never got above E4. And the only way you can do that, there's only two ways, actually. Let's correct myself. The only way you can retire as an E4 after 20 years, there's two ways, is you made a higher rank and then got busted down to E4 and got out. But you was able to retire. The other way is to do it like Marv did. Keep P&A the tasks. And, hey, Jerry, how you doing, man? Jerry, it's -4 Celsius here, buddy. Be happy you're where you are. It snowed last night. Now, it warmed up enough today that the snow was melted off the cars in the road. But it's -4 right now. Last time I just looked a little while ago, and it was -4 Celsius, which, as you know, is around 25, something like that. Somewhere around 25 Fahrenheit. Well, like I said, the same thing in the Navy, Tim, unless you P&A a test. See, in the Navy, everybody has to take the written test. There's a written test you take to go to from E3. Well, actually, to make E3, you take a written test. But if you pass it, everybody gets E3 just by passing the test. Now, E4, you take the test, and they have to score so high, and there's only so many people that'll be advanced because you go against everybody in the Navy that's in the same division as you are. So every storekeeper or every, like I said, every storekeeper, every ship serviceman, every cook, every cook would go against all the other cooks. Every storekeeper would go against all the other storekeepers. And like I said, I was a ship serviceman. We went against everybody throughout the Navy, no matter where they're at. They were ship servicemen going for E4. We took the same test, and the highest scores got advanced, and there would only be so many. And so if you P&A the test, pass but not advance, you could do that until you retire in the Navy. And that's what my friend did. He kept P&A the E5 test, kept P&A it because the rate was closed up. Now, later on, what they did was they took the ship servicemen and wrote them in with the storekeepers because the storekeepers were always shorthanded. For some reason, the storekeepers were always shorthanded, and the ship servicemen always had lots of people. And the two rates are very similar. They're kind of like siblings. The storekeepers kept all the supplies and stuff for the ship. All right. So anything you needed for the ship, they had it in their storeroom. You'd go to them, put in a requisition, and they would get the stuff and keep track of it that way. Well, the ship servicemen, we did the same thing for the crew. All right. Now, some stuff they had to buy, but it was there, for the crew. Our supplies were all geared towards the crew, where the ship's storekeepers, all their supply was geared towards the ship. So you were kind of like maybe cousins, if not siblings. You were related. And so they finally just rolled the two in together, which made sense because, like I said, they was always shorthanded as storekeepers and shift servicemen. There's always plenty of us. Now, when I made E4, I had one superior, one low, and like four. It was like six. There were 6 parts to the test. The superior means I was in the top 10%. Low means I was in the lower 30%, I think. And then I had 4 excellence, which means I was in the top 30%. I had a score of 120 something. And you only needed like 60 something to be considered passing. Well, I almost doubled the score required to pass. And I did not get promoted until the last. It was like if you pass when they took the test, there was 3 months. The highest got the first month, the next highest group got the second month, and the next group got the third month. And if you didn't get promoted in those 3 months, you had to take the next test in like 6 months later or whatever it was. Well, I got it in the third month, even though I had almost doubled it. So these other guys did real well. And there's only so many people get advanced. And then I got out before I was qualified to take the E5 test. So that's because I put off taking the E4 test. If I hadn't put it off as long as I did, I could have took the E5 test before I got out. I might have made it. I might not have. The main reason I took the E4, I was thinking about getting out at that time. It was just about I had 4 years in. And I didn't want to get out and say I could have been an E4. I wanted to get out saying I was. At least know that I was. I tried. And so I took it. I noticed I said I did over 6 years. Well, I got busted down to E3 and made E4 back. So I was at E4 twice. That's why I wasn't qualified to take the E5 before I got out, even though I did over 6 years. But I never got busted. I'd been qualified to take the E5 test. Megan, how you doing, Megan? Welcome. Glad to see you here. So yeah. Well, I'm not sure how often we did it. Jim, I don't remember if it was every 6 months or once a year. It wasn't very often, but it was every so often. But like I said, when I took that test, every E3 in the United States Navy that was a ship serviceman, we competed against each other no matter where we were at. We could be in Europe, we could be in the States, we could be in Asia, we could be down in Australia, we could be anywhere. Every one of us competed against each other, and it was only the top ones that got it. And so, it's not just like with my cousin, George, his was like in his unit, from my understanding. It's done differently. Now, he made E5. Like I said, I'm proud of him. He made E5. He did real well. He also did real well in life afterwards. He's retired, and he's doing real well. And he's the one that dropped out of high school, got his GED while he's in the Army. Now, it was actually back then, it was a high school diploma. The Army Navy had a high school diploma program that if you went to it and you completed the courses they wanted, you actually got a high school degree. He got his. My friend Marv that I was talking about that did the 20 years as an E4, he did the same thing, got his high school diploma that way. Yeah, you tested competing for your job throughout the whole Navy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody that was a ship serviceman, E3 or E4, whatever you were going for. Like I said, E3, you automatically got. All you had to do was pass the test. I mean, they could have everybody could be an E3. They don't care about that. But for E4 or E5 or E6, everybody that's an E3 going for E4 or everybody from E4 going for E5 or E5 for E6, you competed against everybody else in the same situation, no matter where you're at. And only so many of you got promoted. That was it. And which would, hey, Mike, welcome back. Which would then, when you were ready to transfer somewhere else, that would where it would come into play. Like when I went to shore duty, where I went, I had to be an E4. I was an E4, so I was able to go there. Uh, I messed up, if you ask me, when I extended. I did extend, and then I shipped over later. And what I should have done when I first extended was extended for the Westpac. I was on a ship. They were getting ready to go overseas, and I extended for a year. And I should have just extended for the Westpac because I would have got out during that cruise. But I could have stipulated that I wanted to make that cruise and extended for it. Would have been an E4. I'd have been on a ship where I got along with everybody. I'd have been a lot better way. Yeah, Mike. Well, actually, the Navy is a lot different than a lot of the other branches. Uh, like I said, my cousin George, it was more uh, base wide or uh, division wide, however you want to, battalion wide, maybe. Uh, so it's different from some of the branches. I'm not sure how the Marine Corps do it. I don't know if they do it similar to the Navy because they are part of the Navy. But I know the Army does it different. I'm not sure about the Air Force. So, like I said, and that could have changed by now. Well, Mike, we're not quite that cold. I believe that, Tim. Uh, Mike, it's only -4 degrees Celsius here. Now, Tim, where did he live? Because I know there are certain places have what they call rent control. And a buddy of mine that lives out in San Diego, California, he was a guy I served with, and he got out, moved to Washington State, but his wife's from San Diego, so they moved back to San Diego. She had a daughter, which he raised, and they got a 2-bedroom apartment. Well, after the daughter grew up, got married, moved to Ohio, they couldn't afford to move because they have rent control. And if they'd have moved from a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom, it would have cost them almost twice as much money to downsize. So they had to stay where they were at just for rent. So that stuff does come into play. Uh, I almost moved back to California myself after I got out. I went home in October of '78. I was thinking about going home, visiting the family, and maybe going out to California. Well, my dad was really sick, so I stayed home that winter. And then my dad was in the hospital the next year, so I stayed home there. And then the year after that, he was back in the hospital again, and that's when he passed away. So I stayed home more for to be around for help my mom out, and I just ended up going to where I decided not to move out because I didn't have the money for part of the reason. Uh, I was a tad bit older in '78 than 17 there, buddy. Uh, let's see, I was 25 years old. I was born in '53. See, Jerry, I'm 21 years older than you, buddy. Like I said, I was born in 1953, so in '78 I was 21. I mean 25. Uh, so I went in at 18, got out at 25. But well, woo, man, you ain't lying. You know how cheap that would be now? Now the guy's probably not still alive because you're looking at 60 years ago. You said he retired, so that would put him into his hundreds. But man, that would be cheap rent. Because back in the '60s, I mean, you could rent a place for $40 a month, a lot of places, if not lower. Low Roller probably wasn't even alive in '78 there, Jerry. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of Low Rollers. I've never been to his channel, so I couldn't tell you. Oh yeah, it depends on where you were at, Mike. But you could buy it a lot cheaper than 20,000 back in the '60s. Now, like I said, it depends on where you were at. I mean, you probably couldn't do it in certain parts of California, certain parts of New York, uh, up around Chicago area. The major cities. It probably cost you over 20 grand. But even then, that wouldn't have been that expensive compared to today. I mean, some of those places today would just, oh my goodness, would eat you alive. And so, like I said, well, I know when I started working, it was back in the mid '60s. Minimum wage was $1.15 an hour, I want to say, and there was people, adults, that lived off that and had their own place to live. So they were making a little over $40 a week. They could rent an apartment, buy groceries, and have a car. Probably not a new car, but have a car back in my hometown. So, because I knew people that were doing it, because I worked with them. I mean, where I worked at, there was adults that they might have made a little more because of the job they had, but they were only making $1 something an hour, and they were living off this. So, like I said, when I got out of the Navy, in the '70s, the minimum wage was only $3.10 an hour, and then it went up a little higher. But yeah, it's strange, and I'm not either now. I'm going to say my rent, the cheapest I ever had, and I was splitting it with two other people, my nephew and a friend of his. We had a 4-bedroom place we were living in, and I'm trying to remember how much it was. It wasn't even $100 a month for each one of us. I don't mean we split 100. No, it was 100 around. I think it was around $60, $70 a month per person. It was going to go up to 100. They thought that was too high, so they decided we split up and went our own ways. Now, I was more than willing to pay it. I mean, I was close to work. It was a really nice place for an apartment. It was nice and big. Now, it was in a small, what they call a hamlet, which is really small, but I was a lot younger, and I never mind driving. And, here in the States, uh, if you don't have a car, you better be living in a major city, because otherwise you feel like you don't have legs. Yeah, I never worked at a McDonald's, but I did. Like I said, I worked at uh, an A&W root beer stand. I worked at a Bonanza. It's a cafeteria style steakhouse. Those are the two restaurants I worked at. Uh, and my jobs were, I was a dishwasher, I was a bus boy, I was uh, worked on the line. I was what they call a prep cook. I'd get things started, and the cook would finish it. I fixed the bread. That we had garlic toast, what they called Texas toast. Uh, Baked potatoes. I fixed the baked potatoes. Uh, I did the scallops. I did the shrimp. I did the roast beef. Uh, I did all this kind of stuff, and the steaks themselves. The cook would cook, and he made a little more money. So each job you had, certain jobs paid a little more. As a busboy, it was $1.10. That was the lowest paying job, which was they had to pay minimum wage where I was at because they advertised no tipping. And in Indiana, and then probably it's throughout the United States, if you are a restaurant, you advertise no tipping, you had to pay minimum wage at least. Yes, Mike, it did. It had a drive-in. You could drive in, sit, and pull up, and the girls would come out, take your order, go back in, and when I first started going there, girls were on roller skates. They'd roll out to your car, get your order, go back in, put your order in. When it was ready, they'd roll back out to your car, and you'd roll your window down. And they had a little tray that attached to your window, and then you'd pass the food around. When I first started going there, now I wasn't working there at this time, but we'd go in as a family and get stuff. And so, we used to go there all the time. With back in those days, the gallon jug was glass, and you go in and get a gallon jug of root beer for the first time, and then you had to pay a deposit on the bottle. And then every time you take it back, go back and get a gallon jug, you take the old jug in, give it to them, and then you buy another gallon, and you didn't have to pay the deposit because you returned the bottle, so you're getting the bottle. And at the end of the year, when you turned it back in, you got your deposit back. And it wasn't very high. I don't remember what it was. But we'd go get a gallon jug of root beer at least every other week, if not every week. And like I said, with a family as large as mine, you go through that gallon real quick. It'd only be that one day. You weren't going any longer than that. And yeah, Jerry, Bonanza, their main office was actually in Texas. Their corporate office was in Texas. I want to say Dallas. I could be wrong. I worked there, like I said, I started there in late 60s. I want to say I started there in 69 and I worked through 71. December of 71 is when I quit working. Now, in Indiana, you can go to school half a day and work full time. And Bonanza wanted me to do that. They wanted me to go to school in the morning, work full time. And when I graduated, they wanted to send me to corporate school to become a assistant manager somewhere. And I had that career path open to me if I wanted it. But I always wanted to go in the military. I cannot remember a time that I didn't want to go in. And I'd change what branch I wanted to go. I mean, I wanted to go in the Army, Marine Corps, Air Force, Navy. I wanted to go in all of them at one time or another. And I'd see a movie, and Mike, it was the glass mugs. And I don't know about where you were at. We chilled them. We put them in the freezer and get them really cold. You pull it out, and the mug would get ice on it. You put the root beer in there and make it even colder. Oh yeah. And I still watch Lady E. I still watch her occasionally. But yeah, we used to do that. Matter of fact, I remember I told you I got fired. Well, that's what happened. There was a big chunk of ice in one of the freezer, and when I went to pull a mug out, it hit that chunk of ice. The mug slipped out of my hands and broke 2 mugs. And Virginia, who's one of the owners, her and her husband owned it, started yelling at me, and I started yelling back. And then David, the owner, her husband, kept telling me to shut up or get out. And I had a sunburn. I wasn't feeling well. And my family had gone to Texas, and me and my older brother was being watched by our grandparents because we both had jobs and we couldn't go. So that didn't make me happy. And so I kept going on, and he kept telling me to shut up or get out. And I told him I'd shut up when I was blank, good, and ready. Starts with a D, folks. And so he told me I was done. I was fired. And like I said, he couldn't get over the fact that I didn't hold that against him. Well, I was the one that did it. Breaking the mugs was an accident. she was upset because she'd been over a hot stove cooking all day. And so she was upset about that. And I just, instead of letting it go in one ear and out the other, I just responded, and I ended up getting fired. That was an important lesson. Oh man, that's a shame, Mike. Uh, yeah, Jerry, she was wearing that. Was it a sweater you gave her, or a t-shirt or something? She was wearing that in one of her videos. And so, like I said, I mean, it taught me that you've got to be careful when it comes to how you react to things, because it could cost you money, which it did. It cost, like I said, it wasn't great money, but for a kid 15 years old, I made decent money, and it cost me that money. And so that's the thing I learned was bite my tongue when I got mad when I'm working, when I'm in the position and that I'm not the employer. Yeah, it taught me never get mad or never talk back to the boss. That is true, Mike. It taught me that, and yeah, it was a lesson well learned, and so it's something that I took to heart. And now I have been fired since then, but that is not because of being a boss. I had one place I was working at. Uh, we know who did it, but we couldn't prove it. And because I was the one in charge, I was let go. It was put down I was laid off, not fired, so I could get my unemployment because they knew what happened, and everybody knew it, but we couldn't prove it. One of the guys who was off duty wasn't working there, came in and stole some money. And I saw him closing the cash register door. He said it was open. I'm sure it wasn't, but I didn't see his hand inside, so I couldn't say it was. And so I refused to lie about it. I refused to say he stole it. I found out later on he admitted to some other people, and he ended up getting fired for something else. Well, I delivered newspapers. I started doing that at 10. I'm talking about a job where you actually had to go in and work with other people. Uh, I cut grass when I was younger. I shoveled snow. I raked leaves. I did all that as a kid. I'm talking about a job where I actually had to go in and I'd clock in and they paid you by the hour, that kind of job. A&W root beer stand was my first. So anyway, like I said, it just, I never worked at the boys club there, Jerry. I think that's a good place to go and work, but I never did go to it. Uh, like I said, I started working at 15, then didn't work again until I was 16, going on 17. And over a year, it was about a year later after I got fired from A&W that I went to work at Bonanza. Uh, I, I remember they had this new manager come in, and I'm working there, and he said something, and I said, I don't work unless I have to. I said, I don't work. I don't do anything. And he was trying to think about ways to get me fired. And then we got hammered. I mean, we got hammered. And I'm out working everybody there. I mean, I'm supposed to have help. I sent my help to help somebody else because they couldn't, he was just in my way. He was slowing me down. And we had like 250 people an hour for 4 hours going through the cafeteria style line to eat. And I never ran out of supply or by end. I would come close to running out of plates, have to go back and get the plates from the kitchen, bring them back out so I wouldn't run out of serving plates because I would prep the plates. If you ordered a steak, well, you had either Texas toast and a baked potato or fries and all that. So I'm the one that put all that together and handed it over to the cook. So when he put the steak on there, it was completed, so he could just hand it out. And I never once had a setup that wasn't there on time, but like I said, I sent my help over to him so he could help sear the steaks so they could keep up with the order for 4 hours. And when we got done that day, this manager, Ron Miller was his name, he comes over to me and says, "Don't you ever tell me you don't work." I said, "I don't unless I have to. I mean, when it comes time to do it, we'll get her done." And like I said, him and Andy Seti were the ones that wanted me to work, go to school half a day and work full time for them in the afternoon and evenings, and then go to managerial school. But like I said, I always wanted to go in the military. At that time, I was leaning towards the Marine Corps, and then I changed. Like I said, I was always going back and forth with Watt Branch, and I ended up deciding on the Navy, and that's where I went. And I'm glad I did. I enjoyed my time in the Navy, and I was a Cub Scout. I was also a Boy Scout. I quit Boy Scouts because, well, we moved when I was a Boy Scout. Started Boy Scouts. I was living in Casey, Illinois, and we were actually a little more serious in Casey about Boy Scouts. So we moved back to Terre Haute, and a couple guys we knew that lived in our neighborhoods told us we ought to join the Scouts with them, Boy Scouts with them, their company. And we went there, and all these kids ever did was play basketball. They never worked on any badges. They didn't. And if I wanted to play basketball, I mean, I don't want to be in the Boy Scouts to do that. I wanted to be working on the merit badges and trying to do all that stuff, but they never wanted to do that. So my older brother and I both, we just quit. It was like, no, this is not for us. You just go there and all you want to do is play ball. You don't want to do anything. You don't, that's not why we were in the Boy Scouts. We wanted to work on the merits and work on all that stuff. And if we weren't going to do that, we weren't going to do it, period. So we both quit. I was a second class. My brother was a first class. And that's as far as we got. So what can one say? Like I said, I was a Cub Scout before that. And that's pretty good there, Jerry. Rona, how you doing, Rona? Good morning. Well, good morning to you. And well, yeah, like I said, when I was a Cub Scout, my best friend's mother was the den mother. So, I did that for a few years, and then, like I said, we moved to Casey, Illinois, for 2 years, and that's where I joined the Boy Scouts. Did that over in Casey. Like I said, I did make it up to second class, and then moved back to Terre Haute. Like I said, we joined that one Boy Scout troop, and it just wasn't for us. All they ever wanted to do was play sports and not do anything else. And after about a month or two, we just quit because they never did anything. That's all they wanted to do. And I mean, if it was a boys' club, it'd be different because that's why I would have joined the boys' club. I didn't join the Scouts for that. Yes. Yeah. We're glad I have everybody here. Been a while. I've been up here all by myself. Nobody wants to come up. Uh, so anyway, we're glad everybody came, and I hope everybody's enjoying this all this thinking back on the past and talking about that stuff. Like I said, those are things that I'll always remember. But we want to, like I said, 3 more years. Hopefully, I'm done. I want to be done with work. I want to, as I told all of you before. Yeah, we used to go camping. No, I didn't go canoeing, but we went hiking, camping, all that good. And at the camps, they'd have archery and stuff like that sometimes. It depends on the camp you went to. I enjoyed that. That's the stuff I wanted to do in the Boy Scouts. These kids, all they ever wanted to do was play sports, and that wasn't something I wanted to do. Now, in Cub Scouts, we made stuff up like we were Indians. I mean, nowadays that would be politically incorrect. Crystal, how you doing, Ann? Thank you for coming. But it was, we made a teepee and we made some headdresses and some other things, and we used some burlap sack to do some stuff with. I don't remember, and then we had a jamboree, they call it, where we all the Cub Scouts from all over went there and went to the jamboree, and I can't remember if we camped or not. I really don't remember that because, like I said, we're talking Cub Scouts, so we're talking back 60 years ago. So please forgive me if my memory's a little bad on that because we're talking over 60 years ago. But I do remember the jamboree. I remember going there and having a good time. And that's the kind of stuff I enjoyed in the Scouts. So, like I said, I was really disappointed with the troop, the Boy Scout troop in Terre Haute, and that's why I dropped out. Percy, how you doing? Appreciate you coming. And so, yeah, we're just right. I'm not even going to try to say the word. For some reason, it doesn't want to come to me. We're just going down memory lane. We'll just say it that way. And so, like I said, I ended up staying in Terre Haute after I got out of the Navy. Like I said, it wasn't my original plan when I got out, but I'm glad I did. For like I said, I got to spend those 2 years with my father. That's the reason why. If it wasn't for that, I would be sorry that I got out of the Navy. But I did get to spend more time with my father before he passed, and then I was there to help my mother out. Well, Jerry, they called it a jamboree. It was all the Cub Scouts getting together from all over. I don't know if it was all the states. I mean, not all the states, all of Indiana or just all of our county. Because, there's a lot of different Cub Scouts troops because you only have like 10 or 12 people. And then you got your den mother. Usually it's a den mother for Cub Scouts. And yeah, like I said, I mean, there could have been from other places as well. The one I went to was in my home. If I remember right, it was in Vigo County, my home county. And there you go, Rona. It'll drop your link for you. Give it a moment. But anybody that wants to come up, you're more than welcome to come up. Come on, Nightbot. What you doing? You're being slow here. I'm highly disappointed by Nightbot. Come on, Nightbot. There? No. What is going on here? I'm highly disappointed here, people. Huh. What is going on? I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my Nightbot. Just give me a moment because I do not like this at all. If I can find it. What is going on here? It shows I set this up 3 years ago, so what's going on? Oh. Let me turn that banner off if it's not working until I can figure out what's going on. Well, I'm going to have to try to figure out how to set this back up because it does not seem to be working. So just give me a chance and we'll get this set back up. I am sorry, everybody. I don't know. It was working last week. I'm pretty sure it worked last week. So I have to figure out what's going on. Let me hit this here real quick. Not. Hopefully everybody's still there. I tried something that didn't work. No. Don't do that again. Hey, Robert in Mindendow, how you doing, man? Some reason I'm having trouble with my Nightbot. It's not letting me. You type in the 3 L's and it doesn't do anything. I don't know what's going on. I'm real not happy with this. I'll have to figure that out. But now's not the time. I don't know what happened. I must apologize to everybody that put in 3 L's and it didn't work. So I'm not real happy with that at all. I'm sorry, everybody. No, it's not working today, man. I really don't know why. It worked last time. This is the first time. I'll have to see what's going on. I went to the settings and it doesn't show me anything. And so, like I said, I can't figure it out, people. We're trying to get it. Now, Jerry, who's Kansas State? I don't know anybody. Robert's admitted now he happens to be Florida. And he probably wants Minden now to leave the Philippines because he's not president. But let me try something else here. No, that's not it. I'll have to try to work on that later. I just can't believe that. I just don't know. Highly disappointed in that. I really am, folks. I'm highly disappointed in that, folks, that the Nightbot's not working. If you know how to drop your own link, go ahead and do it. I just don't know how to do it. That's why I always set up Nightbot. I'm going to have to go back in there, watch it, and try to set it back up. It's at the top of the chat. You'll see where it says Lazy Larry Lee, and I have the stream. What you got to do is go up there and click on it, and it'll bring you up. And I'm sorry I'm lagging. But yeah, at the top. Now, if you want to come up, Robert, just click on that. On mine, it's got Lazy Larry Lee in yellow. Then it says HTTPS colon / stream yard.com. You click on that, and it should let you come up. Hey, Jerry, you have a good night, man. You take care of yourself. I didn't see that, Mike. No. Was that in Canada or where's that at? Or is that overseas? All right. Have a good night's sleep, Jerry. So I'm about to try to figure out what's going on with my Nightbot. I'm highly disappointed it's not working. It really is highly disappointing. Robert, did you find out what I said about how to get up here? If you want to come on up, come on up. Somebody's here. Hey, Savage. Is that you, Robert?
Yes.
Welcome. All right, it's in Virginia. Okay. Mike's talking about that target. It's in Virginia that's having trouble. But no, I haven't seen that, Mike. So
Can
how's
you hear
everything
me?
going in there where you're at there, Robert? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So how you doing, Robert? You enjoying yourself?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Like you said, there is a lag, but I can hear you. Now, are you back in Mindanao for good, or are you just back visiting?
3 months.
3 months? Okay.
We're renting our place in Florida.
All right. Oh, that'll help pay for your trip. Now, are you going back to Florida, or what's going on there?
Oh no, we might sell it. We'll see.
Okay.
There's too many floods. Too many hurricanes.
Yeah. Well, I got a cousin and her husband. They live in Naples. They live in Naples, Florida.
Oh, that's like
And
half an hour from me.
yeah, I guess that
It's
last flood
expensive.
they were missed by it.
Our place got flooded like 4 inches of water.
You know, I guess they got lucky where they were
Yes.
at. I'm not saying Naples didn't get it, but wherever they were at, they got lucky. They didn't get hit by it like that. You know, they didn't get flooded.
This is where I live.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
living at that. That's a resort, isn't it? Is that a family
Yeah.
resort? Oh yeah,
Yes.
you showed that before.
It's gonna be
Uh,
crowded today because it's Sunday.
okay, yeah, yeah. It's family day. Sunday's family day.
They bring their own food.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to save money sometimes, some way.
During the week, I swim in the pool by myself because there's nobody here during the week in the morning.
Yeah. See, I do it in the evening because I burn too easy.
Well, there's a
Well,
lot of shade. See,
yeah. I
there's a
don't know
lot
if
of
you can see
trees
my.
here.
I don't know if you can see these red spots on my hands. Those are all precancerous spots.
Yeah, I
So
had one removed from my head. I had cancer on my head
I didn't have. I don't have cancer. I just had
from the
precancer
sun.
spots that I have to treat every once in a while. And
Oh,
but my dad had a skin cancer on the back of his neck. He had to have removed. And then my little brother had skin cancer too. So it runs in the
they
family.
get it early. If they get it early, it's no big deal.
Yeah, well, they did with my dad. So
They did
uh,
whatever that thing is where they keep cutting it until they see no more cancer.
yeah, like I said, they took it out of his neck and they had to go back in. I forget how often for when the first time they had to go back in like every couple of months or whatever it was, and then got to less and less, and where finally they said, "All right, it's all clear. You're good to go." And that now he was treated for it originally while I was still in the service, and he was cleared of it by the time I got out. I think, but like I said, I was in over 6 years, so he got treated for it shortly after I went in. He never even told me at that time. Like I said, I guess it was just one spot on his neck, back of his neck, and so you know,
We took Starlux Airlines here.
yeah. Well, like I said, when I go, you'll notice I wear hats a lot. Now, this hat wouldn't do me any good out in the sun; just too many holes.
Are you ever
And
coming here?
I want to go there in 3 years. My
Okay.
mom is still alive. My mom's still alive. She's 98 years old.
That's like my friend. He wants to come here too, but he's taking care of his mother, who's like
Well,
85.
I'm not taking care of my mom, but I don't want to be that far away from her.
Yeah, him too.
I happen to live in New York. She's in Indiana, so it's far enough. I mean,
Where in New York are you?
right outside of Albany, the capital district. I'm in a little place
I
called
used
Waterville.
I used to live in Masonville.
Okay, I live in Waterville, right outside of Latham.
Yeah,
And
outside of Oneonta. That's where I lived.
yeah, I know Oneonta. Now, I'm originally from Terre Haute, Indiana. That's where three of my sisters, my niece and great niece, and then my mom, they're all, and then most of my cousins are back in Terre Haute. At least the cousins I know.
My nephew lives in Cobleskill.
Noblesville?
Cobleskill. It's Schoharie.
Cobleskill. Okay, yeah, you're talking New York. Yeah, Cobleskill. Yeah, I know where that's at.
It's cold up there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, right now, the last time I looked, it was -4 Celsius.
When I lived there, it snowed in May.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had it snow. I've had it snow on Halloween. So yeah, yeah. Well, I was back home. It was in October, a few years back, probably about 15, maybe 20 years ago. And I'm back in Indiana, and it's in October, and around the middle of October, actually, somewhere around the 20th, actually. My sister and I both are back. My oldest sister, who lives in halfway between Rochester and Buffalo, we're back in Indiana visiting the family. I'm going to go to the homecoming game for Indiana State University. I had free tickets to it, so I'm going to go to the game. We get a call from my sister's husband, my brother-in-law. He says, "Look, they're calling for heavy snow in Cleveland, and so if you want to come home, you better leave now." And so we left shortly after we got the phone call. We get to Cleveland, about 8 hours later, and I'm white knuckle driving through there. I mean, it is a bear. And I mean, it's like got 2 foot of snow. I'm getting in behind semis who are clearing out the path, and if I'm doing 30 on the highway, I'm feeling like I'm really flying. So once we get past Chicago, not Chicago, let's do Cleveland. We find a place right off the thruway to pull off, and I said, I got to stop. I've been driving in that snow for over 2 hours. I had to take a break, and we pull off and get something to eat and take a break. And then when we get back on to 90, by the time we took the break, the plows went through and cleared the road up, so it was in a lot better shape. And we drove to Erie, Pennsylvania, which I have a good friend that used to live in Erie. They no longer live there. And we spent the night with her and her husband. And we left there the next day. Well, they got 6 inches of snow the next day. We get to Buffalo, get through there. They don't have any snow, but they got snow later. We get back home, and they didn't have any snow. But it was like, oh, man, it was a bear.
I lived in Rochester 1 year, and then I was out of there. It's you get lake effect snow. You get 3 feet of snow just by the way the wind's blowing.
I know. I used to live right outside of. Matter of fact, until I moved down here, I lived right outside of Rochester. I lived outside of Rochester for over 20 years. So yeah, I know all about the lake effect. I lived in there was Leroy was where I lived for 15 years. I lived in Avon. I lived in Elba. I lived in Minden. I lived in Mumford. I lived all around Rochester, and but I lived almost 15 years in Leroy. The last place I had up there, I was there for 15 years. Some of the places I was only there for.
Have you been to the Philippines yet?
When I was in the service, yes.
Oh, Subic?
Yeah, Subic Bay. I served with a lot of Filipinos. About a third of my division on ship. I was a ship serviceman. About a third of them were Filipinos. So I worked and lived with a lot of Filipinos.
I was on the Kitty Hawk.
Oh, the shitty kid! I almost got on the shitty kitty.
I met my ship in Subic when I was 18.
Yeah. Now, when was you there?
1979.
All right, so you're younger than I am.
Right before the Iranians took the hostages.
Yeah, like I said, you're younger than I am.
We were supposed to head back to California. We went to the Indian Ocean for 2.5 months.
Yeah. Well, I was already out of the Navy by the time you went in, and I did over 6 years in the Navy. So, I tad bit.
You ever drink?
Take care of Crystal.
You ever drink the bug juice? We call it bug juice.
You talking about Mojo?
Yeah. No, on board the aircraft carrier, they used to.
Oh no, I never did drink any of the stuff on ship.
Oh.
No. Now, I didn't drink on ship. I never did drink on ship. I know guys that did, but I was never one of them. I did drink a lot.
You did?
But, oh yeah.
Who did it?
Yeah. Well, what else were there to do? I mean, you're single. You know, you're away from home. Now, my older brother didn't. My older brother was religious, so he went to church a lot. But my older brother was a good person to have with you when you wanted to go party, because he didn't drink, but he'd go to the party with you, and he'd be the designated driver. He enjoyed the party, he just didn't drink, and so he always, like I said,
you drank San Miguel beer, right?
Oh yeah, Painted Label, love Painted Label. Now, when you were there, did the guys take? A lot of the guys would get a case of beer, the Painted Label, and when they got done with it, they would take. There was some guy there in Subic. I don't know where he was at because I didn't do it. They'd take the bottles in, and he'd cut the tops off, and 12 of them he'd glue the top to the bottom of it, make like wine goblets. The other 12 would be like drinking glasses for shot, mixed drinks. And that would be their souvenir. They take that home as a souvenir. Now,
they like some of the here.
I myself would stay with San Miguel only because that's what I know.
Yeah, that's what I was drinking the other day, San Miguel Light.
I want Painted Label, baby. At least my first one. I want a Painted Label. Just to resume, just to go walk down memory lane. Get that Painted Label. And so yeah, it's that would bring back some good memories.
We partied a lot here.
Yeah, I did. I was 21 when I was there. Matter of fact, I turned 21 in the Philippines. You want to talk about a place not to turn 21? I mean, think about it. There's a lot of places to turn 21. The Philippines is not one of them because nobody cares. If you're in San Diego, the bar will give you a free drink. Some will give you more than one. So you can go out and get drunk for free in certain states, when you turn 21. The Philippines, you walk in, it's your birthday, they say, so, what are you drinking? Where's your money?
It's so cheap to buy beer here.
Oh, yeah. It was cheap back then, too, but still, though.
It was like $4 a case, I think, back then.
But like I said, though, you just turning 20, you know what I did to do? I decided to do something different on my 21st birthday because I'd been there for a couple of weeks before I turned 21, and I was going out drinking every night anyway. So me and four of my
Morning.
was it four? Yeah, four of my friends. We went horseback riding on base, and then I went and had a steak dinner. Then I went out and got drunk like normal. But that's what I did to do something different for my birthday, because otherwise it would just be a normal day. So went horseback riding and I had a steak dinner, a T-bone steak dinner, and so yeah. I mean, after that, a lot of times I do try to do something different on my birthday. One year I went roller skating. Another year I took my girlfriend and her kid. She had a son. We went to see E.T.
My son will be 14 March 4.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some lechon.
Oh, yeah. Now
Roasted
it's been a while
pig.
since I had that a couple of years ago. Was the last time I had some lechon. I was down in Long Island area. They have there was this Filipino store there, and they would sell lechon there, and so I bought some, and I bought enough that I was able to take some home and make a few more. I got a few meals out of it. So.
I'll do a video of the lechon.
You do videos of what?
The lechon party.
There you go. I look forward to seeing it. But I really do. Like I said, lechon is good. I like lumpia too. My girlfriend who I had in San Diego used to make lumpia, and
adobo too.
Yeah. Adobo, I'm not had that much.
It's easy to make.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. There's quite a few things I would like to try. Pork adobo's being one of them.
You were stationed in San Diego too?
Well, I was in San Diego for 5 years. Well, not counting the time I was away from. You take the time away from when I was overseas, so almost 4 years in San Diego. If you subtract the time I was overseas, probably just I'm trying to think, just right at about 4 years, counting boot camp, school, and home port. Well,
we had an apartment in Pacific Beach.
Yeah. I lived downtown. I had an apartment downtown. Well, not downtown, just outside of town, in between San Diego and National City. I had a place, and a block from us was the Filipino club. And a lot of Filipinos were, either retired military or in the military, and their wives and kids had this Filipino club. And I'd go over there and drink a San Miguel once in a while. And matter of fact, the first time I went there, they were having a car wash for the kids to raise money for some kind of trip or some kind of thing they wanted to purchase, but it was for the kids. And I took my car in. I had a 68 Chevelle Super Sport convertible. And so I go over there, and I get out of the car, and I'm talking with one of the guys, one of the fathers, and his wife gets in the car. Now, she had a Datsun B210 with no power whatsoever. Well, now she's getting to a Super Sport 396 with all kinds of power. And she hits the gas like she would that Datsun B210 and squeals my tires, right? She slams the brakes on, throws the car in park, and jumps out, scared, almost Peter Pants. What happened there, Robert? Where'd you go? But anyway, we were both laughing, and she would not get back in the car. He had to get in the car and drive it over there for the kids to wash it. And after that, I'd go over and talk with him sometimes and have a beer with him. And like I said, I only lived a block away, so for a while. So, but yeah, I don't know what happened to Robert. It sounded like his wife or somebody was talking to him, so he probably had to go. Thanks for coming up, Robert. We appreciate it. And if anybody else wants to come up, come on up. We've been going almost 2 hours. Most of it been by myself. And like most of you know, I enjoy talking to other people. It was good having Robert come up, find out what's going on with him. He's got a very small channel, people. If you'd like to check it out, like I said, he very small channel right now. And last time I looked, I don't think he had 100 followers. Been a while since I looked. I've watched his videos, but I don't check out how many subscribers he has that much. I've been subscribed to him before he had 50. I've been there for a while. All right, Robert, I don't know what happened, buddy. Did you drop yourself out or something else? But like I said, I was trying to tell people that you have a nice small channel. If they like, they can. Would be nice if they joined. I've watched all your videos there, Robert, unless you got one up that I haven't seen yet. You haven't put a video up unless it's here recently that I have not seen. I started following you. I don't even know if you had 20 followers yet. I've been following you for a very long time. Robert started video doing live, not live stream, listen to me. Started doing videos a long time ago. And it's mainly, I think, just for his family, which is fine. But I started following him and started watching him. I enjoyed him. Now, some of his are kind of short, which is fine. That's not a problem with that. So I enjoy it. It's like Jerry. Jerry's not here anymore, but I like Jerry's. I've seen, at one time, I'd seen every video Jerry put up. And believe me, that was a lot of videos. But I'm a little more picky now. I still like to watch some of his videos, and I will go watch them. It's getting too hard to follow and see every video they do. I've got quite a few people I'm trying to follow. And I heard about that, Robert, but I've not seen it. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I believe expats fight everywhere. It's just like here in the States. There are idiots everywhere. You get two idiots together and stuff happens. Here in the States, there's a chance somebody might shoot the other one instead of just getting a fight. Some of that's due to personality conflicts. Some of that's due to one person trying to be like spreading rumors, maybe not being true. Hey, pretty Chisma, how you doing? Thank you for coming. And if you like, come on up. Hang on a minute. Let me do something for you. There you go. Now, if you know how to drop your channel, go ahead and drop your channel link if you like. If you like to come up, come on up. I like talking with people. So it's just, what's going on here? Huh. The heck? Oh, so this is your Ninja channel? Starlux doesn't have a lot of leg room. Well, that's okay with me, Robert. I'm very short-legged. I'm so short-legged, Robert. The 28s, which is the shortest leg length you can get for a man, it's too long for me by about 4 inches. I wear about a 24. If I was a whole lot thinner, I might be able to buy from the kids section, but I'm way too big for that. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Crystal. I only got the 2 channels, and I don't plan on adding any more. But I do appreciate you. I want to make sure that I'm connected to you on both my channels. I know I am on my Ninja account, but I want to make sure I'm connected to you completely. Oh wow, I did not realize that. We appreciate it, and that's a lot. To me, I can't have a channel that I'm not following somebody. It just doesn't seem right to me. So I have to follow people. That's why my Ninja account didn't have too many people because I follow so many on my regular account, my regular channel. But trying to keep up with everybody is kind of hard to do. And matter of fact, that's what I was doing today before I came out here and started doing the live stream. I was going through and trying to watch one or two videos on most of the people I follow. I wasn't getting to everybody because some of them hadn't put anything up for a while, or all they got is live streams up or shorts. And the shorts I can't watch on my TV. Well, I can, but I can't if I got to connect it to my phone. And if I want to make a comment, it's got to be connected to my phone. So later on, I may go back and watch some shorts, but not until I get the other done. I understand. I made my Ninja account. As y'all, most of you, well, not all of you, but some of you will remember Leonard Lund. After he passed away, I made my Ninja account so we could honor Leonard. I had you got to remember back then, I had a lot of panel hosts. I had about 3 or 4 people would come in almost every live stream, and like I said, Tim, until Leonard passed away, I didn't have a Ninja. I did not have a Ninja. And I made it strictly so I could set up one of my phones in the living room and have Leonard up as a guest. And all it was a chair, my recliner with a gold pillow, and so it was there as a it was there for Leonard, and we did a thing because we right after Leonard died, after we found out Leonard died, in his memory, and so after that, I had to decide did I want to take it down or what did I want to do with it. I left it up, made it a Ninja account. I had a couple of uh, short videos or shorts that I wasn't going to put on my channel, so I put them on that. Just put something up, and I changed the name because at the time I had it as Leonard Lund. So I changed the name of the channel to Larry A. Lee. Hang on a minute here. I'll tell you how it goes. That's not going to let me do that. It's like Larry A. Lee, and that Lee is spelled like L33. And then it shows as Larry when I type in. And we approve. Oh, is that another one? AC Hart, huh? That's a good name. I like that name. But so, like I said, I decided to keep the channel, make it a Ninja channel because I knew people had Ninja channels. And well, I'm glad you. I hope you feel better there, Yummy Mango. I hope you feel better. Bitter half, huh? Now, I think I've seen Bitter half in some other vlogs, but Bitter half. By the way, Yummy Mango, that was much earlier in the day for me, and yes, I did feel better. But all right, Bitter half's where I see. Yeah, at Dan's, I believe that. Yeah. See, it should be Better half though, because between you and Mark, you're the better half. I know this much: if I ever do get with a good woman, she will definitely be the better half. I'll be the worst half. uh, that's all. That's all I can say about that. Uh, like I said, at my age, I can't say I'm going to settle down. I know I won't run around. I'm not into that anymore. Yeah, and for you though, I mean, aren't you over in the daytime where you're at? See, it's night where I'm at. It's just just going on just a little after 9 o'clock here. I know it's a little after 10 in the Philippines. I'm not sure where you're at, Yummy. Uh, but like I said, here it's now. Is it? I think next month. I believe it's next month. We change our clocks and we'll be 12 hours behind you guys. And so I'll have to change the time I start mine here. I'll have to start it at 8 o'clock here, so it'll be 8 o'clock there. So like I said, I'll change my time. I won't have you change your time. Uh, and I think it's easier on you guys. I think 7 o'clock in the morning may be too early for you guys. So 8 o'clock is not bad. I wouldn't mind doing 9, but the thing is, uh, that's a little late for me to be starting because of well, Jerry wouldn't be able to make it that well. Uh, I don't know how well he'll make it at 8 because Jerry likes to go to bed early. And but also I'm a person that works a day shift. Although at the end of next month I'm changing jobs again. I'll still be with the same company, but I'll be at a different spot. I'm leaving Amazon, going somewhere else. Where I'm going to be a little closer. Still going to be day shift, but I don't know if it's going to be like 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 or 7 to 3 like it is right now, or 6 to 2 even. I just don't know. I'll find that out later. It doesn't really matter. I either took this job or stayed with an Amazon and went with a different company. And that wasn't going to happen because I want my vacation time so I can go back and visit my mom and my family back in Indiana every summer. And I'd lose all that time for a year. And then the next year I'd only get a week. And then the year after that, probably only be a week. And then I'm retiring. And it's just not worth it to me. Uh, the only way I retire before that is, let's say I hit the lotto. Uh, I really don't play the lotto that much, although I got a couple of scratch off tickets in my living room that I've had since Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. I've had them since Thursday. If I hit the big winner on one of those, it'll be like $1,000 a week. Now after taxes, it'll be less than that, but for life, every week for life. I'd love to hit that because I'd be retired. I still couldn't go to the Philippines because of my mom, but I'd be retired from work. I'd be done this year, period. Because I have to renew my guard card, and I just wouldn't do that. Why? I wouldn't need the money. Uh, don't get me wrong, the money would be nice, but then you got to pay all that taxes and all that other stuff. And at my age, I just didn't retire. You know, I mean, a lot of people would want me to call them if I hit the lotto. Like I said, this still won't make me rich. Like I said, I know in some places that's a lot of cash. If I tried to stay here in the States and live on that, I could. But there's people that work that make more money than that. All right. Now, I don't make more money than that. Uh, I make a little less than that working. Now, if you add what I got coming in and with what I'm making working, I make about that much. A little less, but close to it. But I'm in debt. I'm trying to get out of debt. And then I want to save money. And so I can afford to move somewhere else. Uh, like I said, the odds are if I have my way, it's going to be the Philippines. That will depend on my health, and we'll deal with it. And if I had to, like I said, who knows if I had that, if I won that, I might keep a place here. and I would keep it in New York only because New York's going to tax me no matter what. If I go to another state, they may want to tax me as well. So let's just reduce the amount of tax I got to pay and just stay in the state that I won the money in, and then maybe go back and forth. I don't know. I would think about that. I would give that a thought. And I would only do that because of my family. I could come back, visit my friends and family. And I'd probably spend the spring, summer, and fall here, and then go overseas for the part of the fall, the winter, and first part of spring. It'd be at most to be 6 and 6. The most I would spend in the Philippines. It would depend on financial. Could I get away with spending less time in the Philippines and now where is that? I mean, is that in the Philippines or where is that? But like I said, I want to be near a good hospital. I want entertainment close by. That's why I would look for a small to medium sized city, and I do mean city. Uh, I want, like I said, I want to get a hospital there, and cities all have entertainment that I would want. Movies, Brooklyn, all right. You live down in New York area. Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I wouldn't want to live in New York City. I like visiting New York City. But it's not a place I would want to live. I don't like large cities. I like medium-sized cities. 500,000 people or less is what I would prefer. My hometown's only like 70 or 80,000 people. I would prefer something a little larger than that. I would prefer something over 100,000 if I'm here in the States. But, that there's just, and besides, if I retire here in the States, if I don't, I'd stay where I'm at. Or if I was going to leave this area, I might go north. Because, like I said, I wouldn't be here during the winter. I'd be gone every winter if I could. And I have family up north of here. Yeah. Oh, I believe that. Yeah, I mean, I want to get down to maybe this summer I can make it. I'm hoping I can make it down to what they call Little Manila and maybe get myself a San Miguel beer while I'm down there. Like I said, I haven't had one in years. I've never been to a Jollibee. I believe they have a Jollibee there in what they call Little Manila. It's only a couple blocks, 1 or 2 blocks long, but I'd like to go down and see it, do a video or two on it. And, but yeah, that would be interesting. Now, hopefully this summer here in the Capital District where I'm at, Albany area, they have a Filipino festival on a weekend. Now, this year I had to work weekends when they were having it, so I wasn't able to get over there. So right now I got weekends off the way my boss is talking. I'll have weekends off still when I change jobs. So if that's the case, I will make it over to the Filipino festival. There's a lot of Filipinos in this area. I can't say they all work in the hospitals. I know there are quite a few that do. But I'm sure there's quite a few that do other things. I do know that at one time, Albany Medical Center was sued by some Filipinos because they were underpaid, and they won their suit. It was the Albany Medical had to pay them properly because they weren't paying them like they were supposed to pay. I really find that disgusting that they didn't pay them properly. To me, that is low life. That is somebody being a low life, and I do not, you don't take advantage of people. I'm not, how should I say this? I'm not, uh, I'm not against, paying the fair wages, and that a lot of times has competition for jobs. If there's more people needing work, then you can pay less money. But if you have a pay scale that you're paying, I don't care if they're Caucasian, Black, Hispanic, Filipina, that maybe Canadian come down. It doesn't matter. You should need to pay them all the same money. That's not right not to. I think it's immoral to try to take advantage of somebody that way. Now, maybe if you hired them in the Philippines and say, "Hey, look, you're going to make this money here until you pay us back for bringing you over," I could maybe see that. And hey, look, we're going to pay for your expense to come over, and you got to pay us back for that expense. But we'll pay for that. We'll get you a place to stay, and you have to pay us back for the cost of that. And here's what it's going to cost. But I'm going to pay you per hour while I'm paying everybody else. You're just going to pay this money back. I can see that, because they're paying out that money. So I can see that. But you need to pay the person that money, and then you can take out so much a week that you come to an agreement. Hey, you got to pay this much back per week until we recoup the money that we put out. I'll be doing my laundry tomorrow probably, and I've been doing it on Sundays. Just because I don't like I said, Saturday is my lazy day. I mean, that's like I said, my name is Lazy Larry after all. Saturday's a day I sleep in. I get a lot of sleep. I wasn't even going to leave my apartment today, but I decided I didn't want to cook. So I went out and bought myself a chicken salad. And I mean a tossed salad with chicken. All right. And I had the salad dressing here at home. So I had that for supper tonight. That was my supper. I had a salad with chicken in it, and so just plain salad. So it was a tossed salad for chicken. Oh, I agree with you. Every day is a lazy day, but after work, believe me. Like I tell them at work, some people say, "I'll just live in the dream," working and making money, living the dream. I say, I'm living the nightmare. I said, when I get off work, I'm living the dream because now I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, that should help there, Robert. I know I always would drink hot tea. Well, Robert, I'm 70 years old. Now, my mother's 98. My grandfather and her dad and her granddad, her dad's dad, both lived to be 92 or thereabouts. Her older brother lived to be 92. Now, her Uncle Orange. Hey, Dad, how's you and Mimi doing? Now, her Uncle Orange, was her mother's brother, he lived to be about 98. But well, it depends on your religion. Some people consider Sunday to be the day of rest. I just like to do it on Saturday because it's my first day off. And so if something happens all right, I happen to be the supervisor of the post I work at. And so if somebody calls off, then I have to try to find somebody to fill the post. And if not, I may have to go in and work. So if nobody bothers me on Saturday, I get my lazy day in. The nice thing about it is where I work, I have a couple guys that love to work overtime, and I'm so happy they do because I don't like working overtime. I used to love overtime. But back during 2020, that was the time frame that people would love to forget. I did not. There was a lot of people didn't have to work. They got laid off because of what was going on, and they got to draw unemployment. And a lot of them made more money staying home than they did working, which I would have been one of those, but I wasn't laid off. My job as a security guard is considered essential, so I had to work. And where I worked at, we were 2 to 3 people short the whole year. And so because we were so short, I was working probably somewhere between 72 to 80 hours a week on average. There was some weeks I worked over 100 hours, and I don't think there was ever a week I didn't work over 60. So, but most of the time, right around 72 hours to 80 hours a week for a whole year. At the end of that year, I did not care to work any more overtime. That was it. I was done. I was happy. Well, didn't need more. And so now I still work overtime occasionally. It just, the situation will dictate that. I do not volunteer for it. If I can get out of it, I will not do it. But sometimes, because of the job that I have, or like if somebody doesn't show up for work and I'm working, my job is to stay there till I'm relieved. I have worked 16-hour days more than once since I've been out here because somebody didn't show up and we couldn't get somebody to come in early. So I ended up doing a double. This one place I worked at before where I'm at now, the first month and a half, I averaged 16 hours once a week. I'd work a 16-hour day almost once a week for the first month or two. I was not happy with it, but I did it. Now, sometimes I would take the following day off if it was if I could. If it was at the end of my work week and I was going to be off the next day, then I'd just take the hours and take the money. But I really, I'm burned down on working overtime. I've done it most of my life, and I've just decided, hey, I don't need to do this anymore. I got enough money coming in that I can make all my bills and still have money left over. And I started nailing my bills real hard here recently. So I will have all my bills paid off outside of my car and my living expenses this year. And then after that, all the money I can make will go back that I don't need will go back into savings. So when I do finally retire, I'll have the money to move wherever I want, which, like I said, right now, my plan is Cebu, Philippines. And I don't know how well I'm going to like it. It might be too large for me. It might be more expensive than I want to pay. But I want to go there first. It's a good place to land, get your feet wet, see what's going on. And who knows? I might move close to Crystal. I might move close to Dam, but not in Bye, but someplace there. Yeah, I would probably be considered a peso millionaire right now myself. You know what I mean? Now, once I retire, I may not be. I'll be a peso thousandaire. I'll be middle class once I retire. All right. Right now, if with the money I got coming in, I would be considered a peso millionaire. But once I retire, the money I'm getting from work will dry up. It'll just be my Social Security, and I'd be able to live comfortably on that in the Philippines. But I want to save that money before then, so I had the money to move over, check out the area. If I decide I don't like Cebu for whatever reason, maybe it's just too large. Maybe it's more expensive than I want. I'll be able to go somewhere else and look. Like I said, the places I'm thinking about, if you had to go top of the line right now, would be either Dumaguete or Iloilo. Luzon, there's some areas in Luzon I might not mind. Leyte as well would be another area I'd be willing to look at. Well, Dan, Yummy says she's in Brooklyn, New York. So being a peso millionaire, if you live in the States, is it's not the same thing as being a peso millionaire in the Philippines. Like I said, right now I'd be a peso millionaire in the Philippines. Now, once I retire, that's different. But we'll do what we can and try to enjoy ourselves. But like I said, I really would like to. Well, like I said, Tim, to me, Cebu and Dumaguete is probably as far south as I'll go. Although I thought about Mindanao and Davao, but the thing about that is they get a lot more earthquakes uh, than some areas, so I'm not so sure I'd want to go to Davao. I do like the fact that they got the 911 system. I really do like that. Uh, I just don't know how expensive it would be to live there. I'd have to. I don't know anybody that really blogs from Davao, so that's something I would want to find. Now, where Dan's at, there's a city that he goes to catch the ferry. Yeah, I can see that too, Dan. But I'm trying to think of that city that you go to catch the ferry, Oramark or whatever it is. That's a place I wouldn't mind checking out if I decide Cebu's not for me. It's Dan says they got a good hospital there. So that'd be something I'd be willing to check out. And like I said, I'm not looking to go south. I'm looking for more central, but I'm willing to go north. Uh, Now, where's Tagum City? You said it's better than Davao del Norte. Is that in Mindanao as well? Like I said, I want a good hospital close by. I'm not saying it's got to be a 5-star hospital, but it's got to be a good hospital. Is that Sulu? George Takei? I thought he was Japanese. Are you talking about all right, so that's in Mindanao, but it's flatter land. Okay. I'm gonna be honest with you now, Dan. I'm with you. Climbing up and down those hills, the older we get, the harder that gets. That's why I'm picking up walking. And last week I probably averaged around 10,000 steps a day, which is good for me. But I only got in 8,000 yesterday. Today I didn't get that much. But I'm just trying to figure out which Star Trek character, because are we talking about the new Star Trek people? Or are we talking about the old Star Trek group? Or uh, you know, but yeah, it's and oh, by the way, I'm a big sci-fi fan. I love Star Trek. All right, Dan. Okay, George. So the original Sulu. All right. I was thinking he was Japanese, but that didn't mean he wasn't born in the Philippines. Uh, but yeah. But yeah, like I said, I'm a big Trekkie fan. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I like Battlestar Galactica. I am a big sci-fi fan. I really am. And so I look at sci-fi, especially Star Trek, as being a ray of hope for mankind. Uh, I don't see it's going to be a cashless society where nobody uses cash at all. I mean, the way Star Trek is, they don't get paid. They get this, they get that, and they just do it out of. Okay, there was quite a few Japanese that did not realize the war was over, and had to be convinced later on. But so, like I said, though, to me, it gives a because you see where everybody gets along in Star Trek, more so than Star Wars, and how they work together, and how not only different races but different. I guess we'd have to call them races, wouldn't we? Different different species. The Klingons later on we get to be where we're friends with the Klingons. The 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 Vulcans, all these different races or species, we come together and try to do better for each other and ourselves. I find that as inspiration. I'd love to see that happen. All right, Dan. Thanks for dropping in, buddy. I know you got a video up I haven't caught yet, at least one that I hadn't caught on one of my channels, but we'll get caught up. So we're glad you dropped in. Tell Minnie we said hi, and enjoy your time there in Thailand. And yeah, it must be nice to take a vacation from your retirement, you know? Dan and maybe is taking a vacation from retirement, you know? That must be nice. uh, so, yeah, it sounds good to visit. That temple was nice now, Dan. I told you that. That really was a nice looking temple. And like I said, remember now that tower was not a water tower. That is a private swimming pool for the monks. What can I say? But a lot of you may know, some of you may not. Dan's one of the earlier followers that I've started following. Uh, he's not one of the first, but he was one of the early ones. Uh, there was a couple that I've dropped that might have been before Dan. One that's dropped himself. Uh, yeah, Tim, I hope you enjoy your vacation in July. Now, are you going back to Buffalo or are you just going somewhere else? I thought you were going back to Buffalo, aren't you? To visit your sister? You ought to get a video of, if you go back to Buffalo, you ought to get a video of Niagara Falls for everybody. Uh, I've been thinking about going up there and trying to get one from the Cave of the Winds. I think that would be nice. Oh, you're going to north of Vancouver, so you're going into Canada. All right. And you're going on the other side of the country. You're going on the west side of the country. I've been to Vancouver, but I've not been north of Vancouver. I said I went to Vancouver when I was in the Navy. I was at station. My ship was in dry dock in Bremerton, Washington, which is right across the Puget Sound from Seattle. And me and Bert and a couple other guys, we took a bus up to Vancouver. The other guys just went that one night. The next night, in the morning, they went home, and Bert and I stayed another night and knocked around. Then went home the next day. We went up on a Friday. The other guys came back on Saturday. We came back on a Sunday. The weekend, And I enjoyed that visit. I never thought I'd go to Canada again. Now I've been to Niagara Falls, Canada, Toronto, Canada, Montreal, Canada, and enjoyed all of them. And I'm going to tell you the truth, people. If you get to go to Niagara Falls and you can only go to the American side or the Canadian side, go to the Canadian side. It is much nicer. I like the American side too. That's where the Cave of the Winds at. It's the American side. But you get a much better view of the falls. There's a lot more for the family on the Canadian side. They've did more of a tourist thing where the American side didn't, and they paid for it, if you ask me. But I still do like the American side too. I prefer, if I'm going to take somebody to both, we go to the American side so they can enjoy it. Then we go to the Canadian side and just blow them away with that, because it is much nicer on the Canadian side. So, you got to do what you got to do. And another place I want to go to sometime before I leave the States and do a video, I don't know when I'll do it, will be Letchworth Park. They had 3 falls in Letchworth Park. And it used to belong to a lawyer owned it. Some lawyer had all this property. And I guess he didn't have any kids, because I know when he passed away, he left the land to the state of New York with the stipulation that it could only be a park. It had to be a state park. They could not do anything else with it. And so that's what they did. They turned it into a state park, gorgeous state park. It's almost like the Grand Canyon of the East. I mean, there is a canyon area, nowhere near as nice as the Grand Canyon, but it really is very nice. And like I said, there's 3 falls in that area. His house is now, they use it as a kind of like a hotel, some of it. And then they have a dining place downstairs, and they have a little gift shop, souvenir shop set up on. That's what the base of the first floor is. The upstairs is rooms you can rent. They have one room that you have to book it almost a year in advance. It's like the honeymoon suite, but the view from that room, I guess you can see all 3 falls, or it's the best view of the falls. And people like to book that for anniversaries and honeymoons and stuff like that. And my understanding is such a popular room that if you want that room, you got to book it almost a year in advance. That I won't be doing. I mean, I like the place, but I would not want to try to set up, because like I said, I'm single. Why in the heck do I want to stay there? But set it up a year in advance. What happens if something happens and you can't make it? Now, like I said, if I was married and we're going to celebrate a honeymoon, that'd be different. Now, there's something I wouldn't mind doing as well there that my mother did for her 80th birthday. His kids all got together and bought my mom a hot air balloon ride. And it left Letchworth Park, and you went over the falls, and she enjoyed it. It's something she always wanted to do. It was one of her, what we call a bucket list, something she's always wanted to do. So we were able to get her a hot air balloon ride for her 80th birthday. That was done in the fall. So, and my brother-in-law, my oldest sister's husband, he went with her. It was a surprise. He didn't know he was going. We all went up there knowing my mom was going to do it. And we were going to go and chase after the balloons, so when they landed, we could give her a ride back. And when they got there, my oldest sister said, happy birthday to her husband. Says, you get to go as well. Mingay, how you doing, Mingay? Been a while since I've seen you. Welcome back. And I hope you're doing well. So I wouldn't mind doing that myself. Like I said, she did it for her 80th birthday. As a matter of fact, the day she went was my birthday. I don't remember. I was, 50? I think. It was my 53rd birthday, I believe it was. So, you know, we're been a while back. So that would be something to do. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but it'd be something I would think about doing. But you got to have somebody what they call it, a chaser, a car to follow you. So when the balloon lands, you have a ride instead of trying to find your way back on foot to your own car. And like I said, all my sisters came out from Indiana, and we all followed. So it was fun. But now for my mom's 70th birthday, we gave her a ocean cruise. I just moved out here to New York at that time. She went later than her 70th birthday, but that's what it was bought for. I just moved out here at that time and just started working, so I really didn't feel like I should take time off from work. I just started working the job I was working at. I was with the same company back in Indiana as here, so I had the vacation time, but I just started the location. And so I didn't go, but my sisters and my oldest sister's husband's aunt went, and they went on a Caribbean cruise, and us kids all paid for that for my mom. So yeah, we always try to do something special for our mom, especially her big birthdays, and so it's what we try to do. But it's like I said, I'll go back home again this summer for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. Visit my mother. I go by and see her every day when I'm home, and unless something's going on that she's not allowed visitors. And then I'll go see her in the morning, and then I run around with the rest of my family later on, or friends later. And well, last year you saw my videos on the cover bridges. That's one of the things I did after I visited my mother. I also the strawberry shortcake video was also done on the day after I went and saw my mother that day. So all the videos I'll do when I'm home, you can rest assured I went and saw my mother first. That will happen first. I will go see her. And I shouldn't say that. When I stop and get coffee, that might be before I go see her. Because that's on the way. I go by the place on my way to see my mom. So a lot of times I'll stop in and have a cup of coffee to wake up. And then I'll go see my mom. So that's about the only place the Little Bear Coffee Shop is about the only place I go that I did videos of before I went and saw my mother. But like I said, it just, we all have things we have to do. And like I said, I love my mom, love my family. And that's why, I haven't left. I'm not going to leave for a while. And like I said, my mom's 98. Who knows how much longer she's going to live? I'm not rushing her to pass away at all. Hope she lives around for quite a while. Now, she'll tell you, if you talk to my mother, she will tell you she doesn't want to live to be 100. I think she's ready to go. But like I told her, I said, Mom, that's not your choice. It's good Lord's. And she goes, I know. I don't want to live to be 100. And I think a lot of that's because she's in a nursing home and her memory's not as good as it used to be. And she knows it. There's times she does it. Like last year when I was home. I'd go in and she knew who I was, but she couldn't remember I was there the day before. Now she knew who I was the day before, but the next day she still knew who I was, but she didn't remember I visited the day before. But I've had her been told where my sisters go visit her, but she didn't know who they were. These are her daughters she lived with, the two that she lived with. And she introduced them, because she couldn't remember who they were. She introduced them to somebody as, these are my friends. Not these are my daughters. These are my friends. She couldn't remember who they were. She knew them, but she couldn't remember that they were her daughters. Just that she just knew she knew them. And there's times she'll cuss, and my mom never cussed when she was healthy. She's got what they call dementia, which is heartbreaking for the family. And it's heartbreaking for her because, like I said, she knows she has it. But like I said, there's times that she doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't remember. And they say with dementia, they can lash out at other people. And but the nice thing is she's got a lot of family around her. My sisters all go. All three of my sisters go and visit her. My niece and her daughter go visit her. They take different turns, so they don't all go at the same time. They don't all go the same day. So she has visitors throughout the week, which is nice. And so, like I said, on her birthday this year, my all three of my sisters and both my niece and great niece went in that day for her birthday, and they had a birthday party. I would have loved to have gone home, but January is not a good time to travel. Not in this part of the country. Too much of a chance to get snowed in, and not. Tim can tell you, you could be traveling, and all of a sudden you get into a snowstorm, and you may get 2 or 3 foot, and you're stuck where you're at for days because you can't get out. You can't get anywhere because some areas don't have the equipment to clean it up. You may get stuck on the thruway or on the highway because you're stuck and you can't go any farther, and you've slipped off, and you're stuck there for a day or two till they come and get you out. This happens in this part of the country. You're traveling across country. So it's just, unless there's a desperate need for me to travel long distance this time of year, I don't do it. If I got a call and somebody told me my mother was dying and I needed to get there if I wanted to see her, all right, I'll travel during that. I'll take the chance. I'd go. But hopefully that doesn't happen during this time of year. Hopefully when she does pass, it'll be nice and quiet. She'll pass peacefully in her sleep. She suffered a lot here recently, and I hate that, but there's nothing else I can do. But so that's the truth now. Tim, I was coming back from Erie, Pennsylvania, and I was living just outside of Rochester. I was living in Leroy at the time. And I started home, and they had this snowstorm blow through just outside of Buffalo, between Buffalo and Rochester. And I don't know if you remember there's only one break area in that area. It's there's this you can get to it from either side of the road, and it's right outside of Angola. I don't want to say right outside of Angola, if I remember right. And I'm going through, and it's snowing. It's not too bad yet. And I get to that break area, and I thought, no, I'll keep going. I think I can make it. And I get to where you come off from that break area. Now, this is only about 20 miles to Buffalo from there. Might be a little over 20 miles, but it's right around 20 miles from this break area to Buffalo. It took me over 2 hours to travel that 20 miles. Now, folks, this normally is a 25-minute drive. Yeah, it's right around Dunkirk, Angola. It's not quite Dunkirk, but it's in that area. They used to have a Denny's there. Denny's is no longer there. I can't remember what the restaurant is. Used to have a Denny's and McDonald's. There's a gas station, but you don't get off the thruway. This is a break area on the thruway. So one side you come off, You park over here and you cross a little walk over to get to it. On the other side, you park over here. There's another walkway across to get to it. It's right in the middle of the throughway. It's right on 90. You don't get off 90. But there's two areas where you pull off, gas station on both sides, parking on both sides, and there's a covered walkway from either side into the center to go to the restaurants and stuff and the bathrooms. And I've used that travel stop a few times. And I decided to keep going. Like I said, from there to Buffalo's about 20, 30-minute drive, something like that. It took me well over 2 hours. And I'm white knuckling it at times. And there's cars sliding off the throughway over to the right, over to the left. They're in ditches. I'm driving like 10, 15 miles at a time, and that's it. I'm driving very slow. Get down to 5. I mean, you're barely moving. And it was like, man, if I'd have known it was going to be this bad, I'd have got off that brake area and waited. Now I get to Buffalo, and there's no snow whatsoever. It was one of those lake effect snows that went right through that area that they closed down the throughway. But if you're already in there, you had the choice to either stop somewhere else or keep going. I was already in there, so I just kept going. And like I said, once I got to Buffalo, it was no snow at all. And so from there back to where I live wasn't any problems. But that was one heck of a drive for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Well, I've not been out here 30 years yet. I'd be 28 years I've lived out here now. I moved out here in 96, so you probably left in 94. And or earlier. I moved out here in 96 and August, end of August, 1st of September. September. I went to Erie, Pennsylvania first. Couldn't find a job there. Then I went to, because the company I worked for had nothing there. And so I went to my sister's and went to Buffalo and Rochester, and I picked a job in Rochester. Yeah, 93. So, yeah, you left about 3 years before I moved out here. But that brake area, I'm pretty sure was there already. But like I said, there's this big old section that's all up on a hill that's quite wide that the 90 splits and goes around it. And on both sides of it, there's a place to pull off and park and walk across a walking bridge to get to the restaurants. The gas stations are on either side. You don't have to go across that walking bridge. But if you want to go get something to eat, you have to go across the walking bridge. And so I did that. But like I said, that was one scary drive home. And like I said, I've been in a couple of those. So like I said, during the winter months, I don't do that too much anymore. I quit doing it. I think that was like in a December. And but like I said, a snow squall just went right through there, right off the lake. Lake effect snow squall went right through there and just dumped a couple of feet of snow in no time at all. Yeah. Well, like I said, now it might not have been built yet there. Tim, it was right outside of Angola. Now I've been to Dunkirk and Fredonia, but no, this is past there. It's like I said, it's the only brake area actually on 90 between Buffalo and the state line. That's the only brake area they have now. That's actually on 90. That you don't have to get off 90. And so that's why I always stop there. I don't have to get off 90. I can just stop. If I need gas, fill it up, walk across there, go to the bathroom, grab a bite to eat, get back in the car, and boogie on. Dunkirk and Fredonia, I went there. I was staying in Erie, Pennsylvania, still looking for work, and I met my sister and brother-in-law there. It's a little closer for me than it was for them, but we met there. I had something to eat and visited for the day. Then I went back to Erie. They went back home. And then later on, I decided to try where they were living, see if I could find something close to them, which I did. And so I've been out here ever since in New York. And like I said, that was in 96. And so I've been out here for quite a while. Like I said, 28 years come this September. So 27 right now. And I was still smoking back in those days. I quit smoking in 99. So it's going on in March. So this March will be 25 years since I quit smoking. Yeah, I can understand that. But I want to say it was after Dunkirk. It might have been before, but I don't remember exactly where it is in relation to Dunkirk. It's been a long time since I've been that way, where I would stop. So I usually stop in Batavia and visit with my sister and brother-in-law and get a bite to eat there, and then so I don't stop on the thruway at all anymore, unless it's on my way home from Batavia. Because, like I said, I'll stop and visit my sister and brother-in-law. Usually, I have a bite to eat, talk with them for an hour or so, then get on the thruway, and I don't stop again until I'm in Ohio, which is where I spend the night at. And then on my way back, I stop in Erie, Pennsylvania, and then I don't stop again until I get to Batavia. Once again, I'll stop, visit with my sister and brother-in-law, maybe one of my nephews, if he's staying at my sister's, my nephew Tim. David's usually at work. He's the lawyer, or either that or he's on vacation and they're somewhere else, him and his wife and kids. But both his sons now are in college. So, but like I said, I'll stop in Batavia, have a bite to eat, visit with my sister and brother-in-law, or at least one of them. I usually, if I only meet with one of them, it's my brother-in-law, because my sister has a lot of problems with her back, so she may not be feeling up to going out. But we'll have a bite to eat. We'll sit and talk for a while, see how each other's doing, how everything's going, and then I'll get back on the road and finish my drive home. And a lot of times I'll stop somewhere on the thruway. Usually after around Syracuse or after, I'll stop somewhere, use the bathroom, maybe grab a soda or something, and then drive the rest of the way home. And that it will depend on traffic. Yes, New York State is huge. A lot of people think of New York State as New York City. And when you tell them you're from New York or you live in New York, they're thinking the city and they don't think about the state. They forget all about Buffalo, Rochester, Albany, and everything else. And then you have to tell them, no, I don't live in the city. I'm a few hours away from the city. You know? Yeah. You could put Indiana inside New York and still have room left over, which is where I'm from. So it's quite large. There's a couple states larger like Texas and Alaska, but there are not too many larger than New York, landmass wise, anyway. I want to say it's probably about the third largest. I could be wrong, but I think it's about the third largest state. A lot of our states, if you're in Europe, European countries, are larger than countries. People like my cousin George and his wife, they had a kid that come and stayed with them. I want to say the kid was from France. And he's thinking, oh, well, there's New York, the United States can't be that large. We'll go here, go there, and go here, and go there. And my cousin George goes, look, you know how many hours it would take to get there? The kid just did not realize how big the United States is. You can't just go everywhere in a little bit of time. I mean, you leave here where I live now to go to Texas would take me a couple days drive or more. It could take almost 3 days drive to get to Texas. And folks, I'm talking about driving 70, 80 miles an hour. It's still going to take me about 3 days drive. To go from here to Florida would take me almost 2 days drive. Unless you got somebody else driving and you just drive straight through. You're talking a long way. from my hometown to here, drive-wise, you're looking at, depending on traffic and the speed, whether you're speeding or driving the speed limit, anywhere from 12 to 16 hours. It's not a short drive. I can do that in one day. I've done it many times, and I'll do it again if I ever have to. But now I prefer to break it up. And it takes a full day just to drive across Texas. You can start on one side of Texas and not be across the state in a day. It takes you a day or longer to drive across Texas. Like I said, some people just don't realize how big some of these states are. And folks, we're talking about driving 70, 80 miles an hour. Drive from one side of the state to the other. Now, my home state, you can drive across the state in 3-4 hours. All right? It's only 150 some miles across. So you're looking at 2.5, 3 hours, depending on traffic and stuff like that. I usually do it in about 2.5, 3 hours. Usually 3 hours, because I'll get off the main road, and take one of the other roads, which is slower, which is fine. I'm not in a big hurry. It's a much more relaxing drive if I don't stay on the main road. And I'm talking about 70. It's just a madhouse of cars and semis, and I can drive that. I've done it many times, and if I need to, I'll do it again. But unless I'm in a hurry, I jump off before Indianapolis and take the back roads in, or after Indianapolis, depends on the route I'm going, and take the back roads in, which means I go through all these little towns. So there's a lot of places I can't drive more than 30, 35, and a lot of places I can't drive over 50. So it's slower, but it's a much more scenic route, and it's a much more relaxing drive. So I go that way as much as I can. And like I said, I do it because it's less stressful. And the older I get, the easier I find it to do that. I can still handle the hectic drive. I can still drive down into New York City. I still do it. I can do it. It just doesn't mean I want to do it or I like doing it. I do it because it's the best way to go sometimes. If it's not, I'll take the train in, which I did the last time I went down to New York City. I took the train in. And that's the first time I've taken the train down to New York City in a very long time. Depends on if you're on the thruway, the expressway, it's 65 in certain areas. But the other roads is 55 now, mostly. But if you're on the thruway and away from the city, I mean, you're where there's very little access to the road. After you get past Buffalo, going towards Erie, Pennsylvania, you get out so far out, it becomes 65. In my area, when I get on 90 going to where I work, when I first get on there, it's 55. Then shortly after I get on, it turns to 65. So it depends on where you're at. The top speed limit is 65, but in a lot of places it's 55 or less. But on the expressways and the thruway, it's 55 to 65, depending on where you're at. And I usually drive over the speed limit. Not always the brightest thing to do, but I usually do. I'll be honest about it. But I try to slow down. And that's another reason why I'll take the back road some, because I happen to be a little more relaxed. I'll drive a little less over the speed limit, if I'm over the speed limit at all, which I've been doing here recently. I take the thruway in, so I'll maybe speed on the way in, but going home, I'll go the back roads or I shouldn't say back roads. The almost dead. It's plugged in. Ooh, down to 5%. Yeah, that's almost dead. So anyway, Route 9 it used to be a major road, but now because of the throughway, which is 90, and the expressway, which is 87, which turns into the throughway a little farther down, and 90 turns into expressway. But those two major roads now are the major roads, and these other roads have all these cities and towns built up around them. But they used to be major roads a long time ago. I'll travel 9 a lot, going home from where 9 or 30 take 9 down so far, and I'll either jump on 32 or stay on 9. 32 is a back way into Waterville. 9 takes me into Latham if I stay on 9. Latham happens to be where I go grocery shopping at, so if I plan on shopping, I'll go 9. If I just want to go straight home, I take 32. It's just like I said, you have traffic, but it's at a lower speed. Yeah, Tim, if you drive the speed limit, cars will pass you, but you don't want to be too fast over the speed limit, or you'll get a ticket. So there's that fine line. What do you drive? I'll put it this way: when I'm being intelligent about it, I don't drive more than 5 miles over the speed limit, or maybe 10. But there's times like say it's 65, I'm driving 80. Well, that's 15 miles over the speed limit. You're going to get a ticket if they see you. If you're driving 5 over, they'll usually leave you alone. So I try to keep it within 5 to 10 miles over. I can't say I always do that because I don't. And that's one of the reasons why I've gotten off the throughway. Because when I'm going home, I'm driving like that. And I'm not in that big of a hurry. It's just like I'm out there with all these other cars that are driving like idiots, and I start driving like an idiot. And it's like, why do that? Let's just take this other route. I'm not in a hurry. It's less stressful. And I'll just do that. And that's what I do. I go that way. Now, if I'm really in a hurry, I'll still go 90 to 787 and 787 home because I'm in a hurry. So, for whatever reason, it's very rarely I'm in a hurry to go home. So, because, being a single person living by myself, when I get there, I get there. It's not like somebody's waiting on me at home. So, why be in a hurry? You're going to be there whenever you get there. And then you're going to either be in or you're going to go shopping or you're going to do whatever you're going to do. We'll do that on your way home. Take the long way and just relax. I'm going to tell you, Tim, I don't know if I could go without a driver's license. I need to get my motorcycle endorsement. Because let's be perfectly honest here. When I go over, if I live in Cebu, I don't plan on having a vehicle. I'll either walk or take a beat bus or a jeepney or something like that. But if I don't make it in Cebu, I want to go somewhere else. I may want a bike. Now it's not going to be a big bike. Don't need a big bike. I used to ride a 750. I don't need anything even half that size. I mean, 175, 250 would be, more than enough of a bike for me. Because, like I said, I don't want to travel cross country on it. I just want something to get around local. When I say local, I'm talking a few miles. Like let's say I live in Dumaguete and want to go to Valencia. I'd want to be able to drive up there. Same thing if I lived in Valencia, I want to be able to drive down to Dumaguete. That's not real far, but I don't want to drive from Dumaguete to around the island. I just don't want to do that. I don't want to go along. Now, maybe after I get there, maybe I'll decide to do that, but that's not what I'm planning on. I just plan on using it to get from one place to another. That is a little more convenient than walking, because maybe it's a little farther than I want to walk. And it all depends on where I live. I mean, if I live where I can walk everywhere, I won't have a bike, but I want to be able to rent one in case I decide I want to go somewhere. And so, that's something you got to look at. Man, we've been going a long time. Woo, I didn't realize I've been going that long. It's after 11 o'clock there in the Philippines. Sorry, guys. But so yeah, it's just something I have to consider. I thought about, should I get a bike here in the States, as we would call it, a scooter or a moped, but something like a 175, 200, something like that, which I would never drive to work. So I just don't know if I want to buy one, because how much use would I get out of it for riding around? And you have to have it stored. I want to check in to see if I can get an endorsement by taking a course without having my own bike, and then get the endorsement, and then that way I can rent one or whenever I need to, or be able to travel over, like I said, go to the Philippines and have the endorsement showing that I can ride a bike. But the thing about the getting a bike here, you get used to riding it again, because it's been a few years since I rode a bike. Get used to riding it, handle it, and being in the vehicle and traffic. But that would be more for city traffic here. I would not want to go out on the highway. There's no need for that for me, especially if I get only a scooter. I would never go through with the scooter. Now, if I got a bigger bike, I would. I used to go out on 70 and do 70 miles an hour or more on my bike. I'm not afraid to get on the highway with them if you got the right size bike. Just a scooter you could never keep up with traffic, and you'd be more of a hindrance to the traffic, and you'd be a danger to yourself and everybody else on one of those scooters. They just don't get enough speed. Maybe in the Philippines they do, but not here in the States. Because, like I said, you get on the thruway, if you're under 65 miles an hour, people are going to be running you over. They're going to come up on you so fast, they may not even realize how slow you're going, and hit you before they even realize it. That would be scary. Like I said, when I was on a bigger bike, I didn't worry about it. If I thought somebody was coming up and being a little too crazy, I'd just kick up the speed, get away from them, and then slow back down until they started to catch up again. Then I'd get away from them again, or make sure I'm in an area where they can pass me and not put me in danger. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. There's a place that's a few miles from where I live. It looks like they have scooters, and it looks like they may offer uh, uh, driving tests or something. I want to check that out, but not right now. It's just, like I said, this year here is to get out of debt, and so the bike itself will not be this year. I may check to see what it would cost to take the course and get the endorsement. I may do that this year. Doesn't mean I'll do it, but I'll check into it. Maybe this summer. It's going to have to be where I can take the courses on the weekend. Either that or I'll have to take some time off, but we'll check into that sometime this year, maybe, and see how everything's going with that. Like I said, I do want to get a motorcycle endorsement. So when I do go over there, if I need to rent a bike or want to rent a bike to do something, I can do it. Or if I want to buy one, I can buy one and be legally riding it. Right now, I plan on going over there on a tourist visa, and I may stay on a tourist visa the whole time I'm there. We don't know. But like I said, I do want to make sure that I have the capability of staying long term. I want to make sure I have the money and the wherewithal to be able to leave if I need to. And that's why I said that's why I want to work not just 1 year, I want to work 2 years. Otherwise, I could work 1 year and have the money to go over. That's not a problem. I make enough money, I could save enough money to go over there and set myself up in 1 year. But I want to make sure I got enough money that I can come back home if I need to. And I might be able to do that in 1 year, but you're really pushing it. Uh, especially if I have to bounce around some to find a place where I would want to stay and live. So that's why I'm going to work 2 years beyond after I get my bills paid off. I still won't have my car paid off, but I'll be able to sell it for what I owe, probably even a little extra money. That's fine. I mean, maybe I won't sell it. Maybe I'll let one of my, maybe I'll let my niece use the car, and until I decide whether or not I'm coming back to the States. It's something I got to think about, but I got plenty of time to make that decision. Because let's say I go over there and decide to come back to the States, I'd hate to have to buy another car as soon as I get back. If I keep that car and let my niece pay for the insurance and all that and drive it, yeah, I'll have a few more miles, but I'll have something to come back to. And if I decide not to come back, then she can buy it for very little money if she wants, or she can sell it, and I'll take the money that she can get out of it. So I'm kind of leaning towards that right now. Because by the time I go, my great niece will be old enough to drive. I don't know what her dad, I don't trust her dad for being a good father to her. Now, he may be, but I'm not back there. Her dad and mom are divorced, and it's her dad's fault if you ask me. No. He didn't, and we won't get into that. So anyway, I mean, he does. He treats her good. He does. I just don't. She has a medical condition. He didn't want to do it because we're going to wait till later. Well, it's easier to do it now. She has these. The tendons are really tight on her ankles or whatever, whichever area it is, that causes her to stand up, walk on her toes. All right. Now, I have a cousin whose son had the same problem. And there's an operation they can do that'll straighten it out and lengthen it, and then she'll be able to walk normal. But he wanted to wait, and so they waited. I think they finally done it. I'll know when I go home. But I have to do both ankles. But one thing I can say about it is high heels is no problem for her because she puts high heels on. She's just walking normal to her. I mean, but like I said, I don't like the fact that he kept wanting to put that off longer and longer. And I think the earlier it was done, probably the better it would be for her. That's my opinion. So that's one of the things I'm not sure about him. But I don't know. Now, he does have a good paying job. I'll give him that. But he works for the federal government. And when I say that, he's a prison guard. He works at the federal prison in Terre Haute. So he makes good money. He's got a good job. But if they ever shut down, which they have before when they were still married, he had to work and didn't get paid until after the budget was passed, and then he got back pay. But he had to work without pay for a while. So he's going to work with no money coming home. Well, luckily enough, my niece worked. And they were able to get through, but it made things tough. Now, she's got a good paying job now that they're, But anyway, folks, I think I'm going to go ahead and shut this one down. We've been going almost over 3 hours. Outside of Tim, I don't know if anybody else is here. Probably are, but like I said, my voice is getting a little raw from talking. And like I said, we've been going for over 3 hours, about 3 hours and 20 minutes. So, and Tim, I want to thank you for that suggestion. It was something I thought about if I could find a place that would do that. Yeah, mine was getting low battery too. I had to plug one of my phones and it was down to 5%. So we're going to go ahead and shut this one down, folks. I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you for giving me the thumbs up. Hopefully next week I'll have figured out what's wrong with my Nightbot. If you're just taking a day off, or if there's something I have to do to get him reinstalled. And but we'll find that out and try to get that taken care of. Now remember, everybody, be nice to each other. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Plus, as always, try to have fun. All right, everybody. Peace, love. Take care. And we'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.